Chapter 659, Top-Level Spiritual Body, Black Dragon Codex. And, his body was suffused with a faint fragrance. A body without impurity, with all the meridians unblocked, is this what a top-level spiritual body is? Such a spiritual body could probably start cultivation early and face no obstacles during the foundation establishment breakthrough. Moreover, some spiritual bodies might change as age increases or upon breakthroughs in cultivation realms. This flawless heavenly fragrance body, as a top-level spiritual body, definitely isn't just this simple. There's also this fragrance. Lu Changxing observed the changes within his body, the fragrance diffusing from his flesh, pondering in his mind. When the time comes, I should ask Zi Xiao or Shi Yu for more information. Otherwise, unless I delve into it myself, I won't understand the full effects of the spiritual body until it's fully matured. Lu Changxing didn't think further but planned to consult Ling Zixiao and Xiao Xia later to see if they knew anything about this flawless heavenly fragrance body. His mental spirit stirred slightly. Name, Nangong Yao Yao, Lifespan, 1/118, Talent, 2nd grade spiritual root, flawless heavenly fragrance body, top-level spiritual body, cultivation level, none, ability, bewitching technique compatibility, 80%, Nangong Yao Yao? Is it a daughter? Lu Changxing saw the infant's image and name that appeared, his heart skipping a beat. He immediately knew Nangong Mili had given birth to a daughter. Although he was somewhat displeased that her surname was Nangong, he was rather open-minded about it and didn't mind it much. Just a 2nd grade spiritual root? Could it be that the long pregnancy resulted in a relatively mature spiritual root? So, with the added bonuses, did I advance directly from a 4th grade to a 2nd grade? But why such a long lifespan? Lu Changxing was surprised when he saw his daughter's lifespan. He had seen the lifespans of many other children at birth, and none had exceeded 100 years. Even 90 years old was rare. Yet, the lifespan of Nangong Yao Yao reached a staggering 118 years. To think that many cultivators in the later stages of energy refinement only lived as long as that. This flawless heavenly fragrance body has the effect of extending lifespan. Lu Changxing glanced at his own lifespan and instantly noticed it had increased by 7 years. Having undergone the foundation establishment, taken 1st grade, 2nd grade, and 3rd stage life-extending pills, and still gaining an additional 7 years of life, its effect was evident. Bewitching technique compatibility at 80%? Lu Changxing frowned when he saw the ability aspect. The compatibility was undeniably high. For example, Lu Maiage's talisman making ability was 56%, and Ling Xixiu's formation ability was currently only 81%. But his own daughter, born with an 80% talent for abilities. It's naturally a good thing to have high abilities. However, in Lu Changxing's view, bewitching techniques still belonged to the minor arts, a third-rate method. The thought of his daughter cultivating such a skill made him feel repelled and disgusted. How could his own daughter learn such things? It seems that this flawless heavenly fragrance body, like the blood talisman's spiritual body, provides bonuses to bewitching and charming skills, which is why she has such talent from the moment of birth. Damn it, my precious daughter was born in the demon path, and her mother is a big figure in the demon path. She won't tread the heretical path in the future, will she? No, I must acquire the strength to go to the 5 Poisons cult and bring my daughter back home. Otherwise, growing up in a place like the 5 Poisons cult, she will surely be led astray from constant exposure. Lu Changxing took a deep breath as he looked at the bewitching technique, muttering to himself. He felt that his daughter's talents might be corrupted in the demon path. Especially since her mother, Nangong Mili, inherently possessed the Xian Yin bewitching body and was adept in cultivating bewitching techniques. Nangong Mili is extremely protective, she should not let her daughter go astray. No, this woman comes from the demon path, and her nature is questionable. I must break through core formation soon and bring my precious daughter home. Lu Changxing exhaled deeply, his eyes filled with determination. He planned to bring his daughter home after either breaking through core formation or when his strength was sufficient. Otherwise, what would happen if his darling daughter were to be spoiled as she grew older? By then, he could also persuade Nangong Mili to turn over a new leaf and bring her and Meng Xiaochan back home. System, draw a prize. Lu Changxing closed the system interface, silently initiating the command in his mind. Suddenly, the system's prize wheel emerged. Accompanied by a flash of golden light, it began to spin. Ding! Congratulations to the host for obtaining the Black Dragon Codex cultivation technique. The reward has been delivered to the system space. The host can view it at any time. A pattern of a lustrous jade scroll appeared along with the sound of the system notification. The Black Dragon Codex? Lu Changxing raised an eyebrow when he saw this cultivation technique. In his view, the name sounded a bit like a chi refinement technique, yet also somewhat like a demon race technique. But whatever the technique, it didn't seem like the mental spirit technique he had hoped for. Sigh, at the moment, cultivation techniques can only enhance the diversity of my family's techniques. Lu Changxing sighed lightly. Afterward, he looked at the detailed information about this technique in the system space. Cultivation technique, Black Dragon Codex, level, peripheral sect level, description, the foundational technique of the Blackwater sect, cultivate to the extreme to transform into a black dragon, command the winds and the clouds, summon the rain, and control thunder. It's just a peripheral sect level technique. But even a peripheral sect level is good. Orthodox level techniques ultimately have a high threshold, while those of the peripheral sect level have a relatively lower threshold, which makes it somewhat easier for my wives and children to grasp. Lu Changxing regarded the Black Dragon Codex, exhaling a calm breath, not too disappointed. After all, for him currently, unless he drew a mental spirit-related technique, there wasn't much difference between peripheral sect level and orthodox level. System, inherit the legacy. Without much thought, Lu Changxing's mental spirit stirred, activating the Black Dragon Codex. To see if its detailed content might offer him a surprise. Chapter 660, Top-Level Spiritual Body, Black Dragon Codex. Suddenly, the practice methods related to the Black Dragon Codex burst into Lu Changxing's mind, as if pouring down like enlightening nectar. He didn't know how much time had passed. Hiss, this Black Dragon Codex really has something. Lu Changxing opened his eyes, revealing a hint of joy. Through the system's inheritance, he had become thoroughly familiar with this Black Dragon Codex. He found that although it was a technique of the peripheral sect level, it was much more powerful than the peripheral sect level, Red Phoenix True Scripture, which he had acquired. This technique, just as the system had introduced, could allow one to transform into a black dragon upon complete mastery. It counted as a technique that dual cultivate both magical abilities and physical body, or one could say it primarily focused on body refinement. In the presence of water veins or sea areas, the power of this technique could be further enhanced. But what truly excited Lu Changxing was that within this technique lay a method for cultivating a top-level Dao soldier. The Blackwater Dragon Spirit Weapon. One would first craft a Blackwater Dragon spell restriction, then infuse the restriction into the body of an aquatic demon beast with dragon blood, and through continuous nurturing, strengthen its body, cultivate its spirituality, accumulate its essence, slowly advancing it into a Blackwater Dragon Dao soldier. This Blackwater Dragon Dao soldier had the potential to reach the 3rd rank as a Dao soldier. Even without having cultivated the Black Dragon Codex, one could still craft it. If a cultivator of the Black Dragon Codex were to nurture dozens or hundreds of Blackwater Dragon Dao soldiers, he could form a great formation and dominate the waters, defeating enemies beyond his level with absolute ease. If one could completely master the Black Dragon Codex and transform into a black dragon, he could even integrate all the Blackwater Dragon Dao soldiers into his divine spirit, comparable to divinity transformation. Blackwater Dragon Dao soldier. Every 10 years, almost on schedule, a dragon carp is born in by Shui Lake. This dragon carp, also known as the young dragon breed, could potentially be used to cultivate Blackwater Dragon spirit weapons. Moreover, to be honest, the red blood carp and blue blood carp also contain a trace amount of dragon blood in their bodies, which could be tried in cultivating Dao soldiers. Even if that doesn't work out, with the unparalleled environmental advantage of Bai Shui Lake, I can also purchase the relevant aquatic demon beasts from outside to cultivate these Blackwater Dragon Dao soldiers. Lu Changxing muttered to himself, filled with joy. The previously acquired 99 mystical talisman scripture also contained methods to refine Dao soldiers. But those talisman weapons, not only did they consume time and energy in their creation, but they also required the expenditure of one's cultivation level to nurture, which was quite troublesome for him. Now, these Blackwater Dragon Dao soldiers required no such expenditure of energy, only money to slowly cultivate. With the environment of Baishui Lake, if he could nurture dozens or even hundreds of Blackwater Dragon spirit weapons at home, it would be a significant foundation for his family in the future. However, the Black Dragon Codex has one flaw: it affects fertility as one's realm advances. While not to the point of sterility, after cultivating it, conceiving offspring becomes many times more difficult than under normal circumstances. Thus, it's mandatory to disclose this before teaching this technique. Lu Changxing exhaled softly. Logically, top-level techniques wouldn't have any side effects. However, extremely powerful techniques often came with certain side effects, such as Xiao Xia's supreme forgetful love technique. But with offspring who possess a spiritual root, many who are single don't plan to marry, so Lu Changxing would also base his decision on their wishes. Let's see what change has occurred to my second-grade spiritual roots cultivation speed. Lu Changxing exhaled lightly, and walked out of the talisman crafting room in a good mood, heading towards his private cultivation room to check on the cultivation speed of his second-grade spiritual root. He would also take this opportunity to see if the flawless heavenly fragrance body had any effect on cultivation. Just then, Xiao Xia happened to walk out of a cave dwelling. Seeing Lu Changxing, her cool demeanor showed a hint of surprise. She felt that there was some change in Lu Changxing before her. But exactly what had changed, she couldn't quite put her finger on it just then. "Xiyu, what's wrong?" Lu Changxing saw a trace of surprise on Xiao Xia's face and asked with a smile. "It's nothing. I just feel like, Changxing, there's been a subtle, inexplicable change in your aura." Xiao Xia said so. An inexplicable change in aura? Lu Changxing was startled when he heard this. He knew Xiao Xia wouldn't have such a feeling for no reason. At once, he thought of the flawless heavenly fragrance body and guessed it was this constitution that brought about the subtle, inexplicable change. Just like the Immortal Beauty technique and Peach Blossom Goo had each brought changes to him. Could it be, this flawless heavenly fragrance body naturally possesses a bewitching effect? Thinking of his daughter Nangong Yaoyao's talents, Lu Changxing's heart skipped a beat. If that really were the case, he felt as though he was racing down a path of billions of fairies' and witches' dreams. He said with a light laugh, "I've made some progress in a cultivation technique, which might have caused a small enhancement to my aura and charisma." I didn't expect Changxing to actually spend time on this aspect. Upon hearing this, smiles appeared on Xiao Xia's cool face. Having known Lu Changxing for so many years, she naturally knew that Lu Changxing cultivated some kind of beauty-preserving cultivation technique. Otherwise, there couldn't have been such a great change in his appearance and aura. Such a thing was quite common in the cultivation world. However, it was mostly female cultivators who would cultivate such techniques, with very few male cultivators spending time and resources in this area. Now that Lu Changxing had broken through foundation establishment and still cultivated such a technique was even rarer. Everyone has a heart for beauty. "Xiyu, if you're interested, I can teach you this technique. But, my own Xiyu is already so beautiful, it seems unnecessary for you to use such techniques," Lu Changxing said with a smile. Smooth talker. Xiao Xia's expression relaxed into a smile, the coldness gone. "Why do I also smell a faint fragrance? It's quite pleasant." Xiao Xia sniffed gently and detected a faint, refreshing fragrance on Lu Changxing. "That's also a result of the recent breakthrough in the technique," Lu Changxing explained. Xiao Xia did not inquire further, simply noting that the fragrance was very comforting and complemented Lu Changxing's spring breeze-like aura perfectly. After a few words of chat, Xiao Xia left to find her daughter, Lu Wangshu, upon hearing that Lu Changxing wanted to go into seclusion. Lu Changxing then went to his seclusion chamber and sat down to cultivate. Time passed bit by bit. Phew. After half a day, Lu Changxing opened his eyes and exhaled a long breath of turbid air. As expected of a second-rank spiritual root, speed increased by 6 or 7 tenths compared to before. However, this flawless heavenly fragrance body doesn't seem to enhance the speed of cultivation. It just adds some resilience to my meridians and dantian. No, that's not right. It should be said there's no enhancement for foundation establishment cultivators, but for energy refining cultivators who haven't yet started cultivating, the effect is significant. Given this pace, if I cultivate in peace, in at most 2 years, I should be able to break through. Lu Changxing murmured to himself. Chapter 661, Refining the Tao Soldier, Transmitting the Method to Bai Ling. _1 After experiencing the cultivation speed of a second-grade spiritual root, Lu Changxing then attempted to condense the Blackwater Dragon spell. This Blackwater Dragon spell was somewhat similar to the Divine Sense Attack secret technique, Soul Dispersion Needle, that he had practiced before. Through visualization, the circulation of mana, and the internal condensation of runes, he eventually forged up the Blackwater Jiao Dragon figure spell formation. Under normal circumstances, it would be very difficult to comprehend and forge the Blackwater Dragon spell. However, with system-assisted enlightenment, it was naturally a piece of cake for Lu Changxing, who did not have to torture himself as he did when initially practicing the Soul Dispersion Needle. As his mind visualized and mana circulated and converged, 72 ancient runes shaped by the 7 luminaries' mana within his dantian came together to form a mysterious pattern of runes. 5 days later, 72 ancient runes appeared in Lu Changxing's dantian, creating a mystical Taoist charm. These 72 runes moved slowly like fish, forming a Jiao Dragon pattern spell formation, which was exactly the Blackwater Dragon spell. With the formation of the Blackwater Dragon spell, Lu Changxing immediately used his mana to continuously forge it, turning it into a small talisman seed. The Blackwater Dragon spell is complete. 2 more days passed, and Lu Changxing opened his eyes, his face revealing joy as he exhaled a long breath. He swallowed an elixir medicine and began to sit cross-legged to recover his mana. After his internal mana was restored, Lu Changxing stood up and walked out of his seclusion cave. He planned to catch a green blood carp and a red blood carp to try to convert them into a flood dragon Tao soldier. However, the moment he stepped out of the cave, Lu Changxing thought about his flawless heavenly fragrance body, which emitted a faint natural fragrance from his body. Speaking of which, can this fragrance be concealed? Otherwise, it's odd for a man like me to always have such a scent on my body. Lu Changxing tried to contain the fragrance emanating from his physique. The fragrance was not intense and was very pleasant to smell. Through Xiao Xie's previous remarks, he vaguely felt that this fragrance might also have some enticing effects. So, he thought it best to conceal it if possible. There was no need to emit charm all the time. By running his cultivation technique, Lu Changxing could feel that the fragrance of his body had faded significantly. If there wasn't close contact, it was almost impossible to smell it. He nodded slightly, feeling much more at ease. He stepped out of Changxing Hall and came to his family's fish pond. Mountain Lord. Greetings, Mountain Lord. Husband. Daddy. Around the fish pond, numerous water pavilions had been built. The cultivators who worked at the fish farm lived in these pavilions, keeping an eye on the situation of the fish farm. Seeing Lu Changxing arrive, the cultivators in the water pavilions immediately saluted him with cupped fists. Zhongyu, fetch me 1 green blood carp and 1 red blood carp, Lu Changxing said to Zhongyu, the manager of the fish farm. Then he smiled and nodded to his concubine Yun Xianxian and his daughter Lu Xiaoru as he approached them with a smile, asking how they felt about the fish farming. The concubine and daughter took some interest in fish cultivation, so Lu Miaoyan arranged for them to learn here. Mountain Lord, before long, Steward Zhongyu came with a red blood carp and a green blood carp. These 2 carps were clearly selected carefully, weighing about 20 to 30 jin. Lu Changxing took the carps, said a few words, and then turned into a streak of light, returning to Changxing Hall. Blackwater Dragon Spell. Once inside his hall, Lu Changxing held the red blood carp, circulated the Blackwater Dragon spell in his dantian, and let the talisman seed enter the red blood carp's body. The talisman seed was extraordinarily mysterious, and in an instant, it entered the red blood carp's body without any obstruction, burrowing into its heart. Thump thump thump. Upon contact with the Blackwater dragon spell, the red blood carp's heart seemed to beat violently. Its mouth opened and closed as if roaring, and it began to struggle fiercely. After a while, the red blood carp no longer struggled, it lay motionless, its flesh shrunken as if it had been dead for some time. Is the dragon blood too diluted, lacking potential? Lu Chongqing eyed the red blood carp in front of him, eyebrows lifting. According to the Black Dragon Codex, to cultivate a Blackwater dragon spirit weapon, one must first have an aquatic demon beast with dragon blood in its body. Then, by casting the Blackwater dragon spell, one could temper the demon beast's dragon blood, enhancing its potential. This step is also called leaping through the dragon gate. Only by integrating the talisman seed and leaping over the dragon gate could one hope to advance to a Blackwater dragon spirit weapon. This red blood carp had failed to survive this test, thus meeting a dead end, with its vitality exhausted. It seems that this red blood carp is too inferior to be used to cultivate a Blackwater dragon spirit weapon. Lu Chongqing looked at the shriveled red blood carp and shook his head. He wasn't too concerned. After all, a red blood carp was worth just about a dozen spirit stones. Indeed, it was somewhat wishful thinking to use it to cultivate a spirit weapon. He turned his gaze to the other carp in his hand, the green blood carp. Compared to the red blood carp, the green blood carp was much more precious, valued at about 20 to 30 spirit stones. With a try-it-and-see attitude, Lu Chongqing cast the Blackwater dragon spell into the green blood carp. However, just like the red blood carp, this green blood carp also withered and died. This is dragon blood essence? At that moment, Lu Chongqing noticed a strand of golden, crystalline substance inside the dead green blood carp. Through the Black Dragon Codex, he clearly recognized it as a strand of dragon blood essence. The Blackwater dragon spell tempered the demon beast's dragon blood and stimulated its potential. But since the beast hadn't survived the ordeal, all its vitality coalesced into this strand of dragon blood essence. This strand of dragon blood essence could be used to concoct the Ascending Dragon Elixir. Chapter 662, Refining the Tao Soldier, Transmitting the Method to Bai Ling. The Ascending Dragon Elixir was also part of the process to cultivate the Blackwater dragon spirit weapon. After all, how could cultivating a third-rank Tao soldier be simple? The first step was to select the Tao soldier seeds through the Blackwater dragon spell. Afterwards, the seeds had to be constantly nurtured with various elixirs and techniques such as Spirit Nurturing Elixir, Wisdom Opening Elixir, Ascending Dragon Elixir, Spiritual Light Method, Blackwater Method, and 9 Transformations Method. A total of 9 pills and 12 methods were used, before one could finally be promoted to a Blackwater dragon spirit weapon. This process was somewhat similar to cultivating spiritual beasts. But compared to beast taming, this cultivation of Tao soldiers was obviously more profound. This was also why small family forces had no Tao soldiers. Not to mention whether they had the methods to cultivate Tao soldiers, just the various expenses involved in the process were more than ordinary forces could afford. Although this red blood carp cannot be used to cultivate a Tao soldier, refining a strand of dragon blood essence from it is still quite good. In the future, if dragon blood essence is needed to refine the Ascending Dragon Elixir, one could extract it by refining red blood carp. Lu Chongqing took a porcelain bottle out of his storage bag and stored away the strand of dragon blood essence. Though this strand of dragon blood essence was minuscule and trivial, even a mosquito's worth of meat was still meat. However, if the red blood carp can refine dragon blood essence, then perhaps the red blood fish king might be able to endure the Blackwater dragon spell. Lu Chongqing's eyes narrowed slightly as he muttered to himself. This red blood carp was just an ordinary first-grade spirit fish. Whereas as a second-rank spirit fish, there was a not-so-small chance that the fish king could integrate with the Blackwater dragon spell. No sooner said than done, Lu Chongqing went to the fish cultivation area and inquired with Zhong Yu whether there was a fish king in the fishery. Mountain Lord, there are currently 1 red blood fish king and 1 Bai Shui fish king in the entire fishery, Zhong Yu voiced aloud. She naturally wouldn't keep a detailed count of ordinary carp. But fish kings were not only highly valuable, they also aided in the ecological growth of other carps. Therefore, after being appointed as the fishery manager, she had cultivated 2 fish kings at the first opportunity. Will using one have any impact? Lu Changxing asked. Not really, but it will take some time to cultivate a new king, and the cultivation costs will be relatively higher. Zhongyu hesitated for a moment before saying. All right, fish up the Bai Shui fish king for me, Lu Changxing said, nodding at the response. He knew that there would indeed be some impact, but he couldn't resist the urge to experiment right now. Yes, Mountain Lord. Upon hearing this, Zhongyu didn't say much more and went to look for the Bai Shui fish king in the fishery. As the bait was scattered, the surface of the lake rippled and shimmered, and countless carps converged. But soon, the water churned and the other fish dispersed, and a gigantic Bai Shui fish king over a meter long emerged to eat the bait. Take action! Zhongyu shouted to the other fishermen. Immediately, several fishermen threw out their large nets, attempting to catch the red-blood fish king. But the red-blood fish king, already possessing a certain level of intelligence, saw the fishing net and immediately flicked its tail, diving into the lake in an attempt to escape. Seeing this, the other fishermen hurriedly cast their techniques to try to stop the spiritual fish. Interesting. Lu Changxing watched this scene, chuckled lightly, and mana surged from his hand with a wave. A man-filled hand reached down and directly captured the red-blood fish king in the lake. Not bad, there might really be a chance to refine it into a Dao soldier. Lu Changxing looked at the red-blood fish king before him, chuckled lightly, and flew towards Changxing Hall. All the cultivators and fishermen in the fish farm watched this scene with eyes full of reverence and respect. Upon reaching Changxing Hall, the red-blood fish king still struggled continuously, its eyes filled with fear towards Lu Changxing. Lu Changxing did not pay much attention, placed his hand on the fish king, and cast the Blackwater Dragon spell into its body. Hiss hiss hiss. At that moment, the red-blood fish king emitted a painful hiss, struggle surged, its heart thumped loudly, and a faint black luster flickered on its scales. It seems there's quite a bit of hope. Lu Changxing, seeing this, revealed a slight smile on his face. Observing the red-blood fish king with the Blackwater Dragon spell surging through it, becoming increasingly emaciated and the black chi flowing, Lu Changxing thought for a moment and flicked a strand of dragon blood essence he had just harvested towards the red-blood fish king. He then took out a spirit-nurturing elixir, crushed it into powder, and mixed it with spiritual liquid to pour into the mouth of the red-blood fish king. Since there was hope of success, he was naturally willing to lend a hand. As time passed, the body of this red-blood carp became more emaciated, its form much longer, resembling more the body type of a catfish or an eel. Boom! After a long time, the red-blood fish king suddenly let out a high-pitched hiss. Its heart merged with the Blackwater Dragon spell, demonic energy surged around its body, pulling at the spiritual energy. At this moment, its scales had almost completely turned from azure to a dark black color, growing 2 long catfish whiskers, with the teeth in its jaws becoming significantly sharper. It's done. Lu Changxing, seeing this, revealed joy in his eyes. The red-blood fish king before him had been tempered by the Blackwater Dragon spell and transformed into a Blackwater Dragon fish spirit weapon. Its strength was still quite weak, roughly equivalent to a first-grade middle-stage demon beast. But to transform from a spiritual fish into a first-grade middle-stage demon beast was a significant upgrade. It seems that this red-blood fish king did have some difficulty in fusing with the Blackwater Dragon spell. If I want to cultivate it, I should try to use a better breed of dragon-kind aquatic creatures. I wonder what the effect would be of the dragon carps in Bai Shui Lake that appear once every 10 years. Lu Changxing checked the condition of the Blackwater Dragon fish. It was evident that although it had merged with the Blackwater Dragon spell, it was still somewhat forced. Chapter 663, Refining the Dao Soldier, Transmitting the Method to Bai Ling. Bloodline refinement, the process of potential awakening, had left him extremely weak, with only half a life remaining. But at least it's done. Next, as long as I cultivate it slowly, and awaken its spiritual intelligence, this Blackwater Dragon fish will cultivate the Blackwater Flood Dragon spell on its own, constantly evolving into a blackwater flood dragon. Lu Changsheng, with the blackwater dragon fish in tow, contemplated quietly. After a brief moment of thought, he went to Bai Shui Lake and released the blackwater dragon fish directly into its waters. With the blackwater flood dragon spell, he could roughly sense the whereabouts of the fish and issue commands to it. Observing for a while, he noticed that as soon as the blackwater dragon fish entered Bai Shui Lake, it immediately started hunting for the fish and shrimp in the lake, even attempting to eat the lake's blue blood carps. Releasing such a blackwater dragon fish won't disrupt the ecosystem, will it? Lu Changsheng's brow furrowed slightly. Although Bai Shui Lake was vast, if the blackwater dragon fish continued to feed like this, there might be problems. Forget it, I better keep it in the storage bag for now, and wait until I've made the Dao Soldier talisman, then have someone take care of it. Otherwise, with the current strength of this blackwater dragon fish, it might even harm the fisherman. Lu Changsheng thought for a moment, then placed the blackwater dragon fish into the storage bag. After all, fishermen came to Bai Shui Lake every day to fish, and his own children would also come to fish. If they encountered a first-grade middle-stage aquatic demon beast like this blackwater dragon fish, there could be danger. The Dao Soldier talisman was similar to the beast control token. Through the talisman, one could communicate with the Dao soldiers and instruct them in their formations. If one cultivated the Black Dragon Codex, they could even integrate the Dao soldiers' demonic aura with their own mana, significantly increasing their strength. Daddy, brother. As Lu Changsheng was about to leave with the blackwater dragon fish, he suddenly heard someone calling him. Turning his head, he saw Lu Wangshu and Bai Ling waving at him from a distance. Wangshu, little linger. Lu Changsheng looked towards Lu Wangshu, who was sitting cross-legged on the mysterious turtle wearing a fisherman's hat, looking adorable. Bai Ling was on a small boat beside him, accompanying Lu Wangshu fishing. After all, with Lu Wangshu's small frame, someone always needed to be with him when fishing. Brother. Bai Ling looked at Lu Changsheng, her peach blossom eyes immediately filled with joy, misty and sweet, her voice meltingly soft. After Lu Changsheng's day and night nourishment, she had become even more enchanting and charming, a natural beauty with charming bones. However, compared to Nangong Mili's demonic allure, she possessed a naturally beautiful purity, giving an impression of innocence and vulnerability that was pitiable and endearing. Daddy, look at me, I caught so many fish today. Lu Wangshu pointed at a nearby basket, enthusiastically sharing his joy with Lu Changsheng. That's wonderful. Lu Changsheng glanced at the basket, thinking to himself that his daughter's fishing talents were indeed remarkable. Moreover, through the system, he knew that after all this time spent fishing, Lu Wangshu's fishing skills had improved by 3%. This left him quite speechless, worried that his daughter would become obsessed with fishing all day and lose interest in cultivation and talisman making. Looking at his daughter, Lu Changsheng suddenly smiled and said, "Little Wangshu, Daddy also caught a big fish just now. Do you want to see it?" Daddy, you can catch fish too." Lu Wangshu tilted her head and said so. Lu Changsheng. Damn, how could such words come out of my daughter's mouth? Shouldn't she be saying things like I want to see, wow, Daddy is amazing, Daddy is incredible. This little cotton-padded jacket has a leak. Hee, since you want to see it, Daddy will show you. Lu Changsheng slapped his storage bag and released the nearly 2 meters long blackwater dragon fish, saying, "How about that? The fish Daddy caught is big, isn't it?" Wow, such a big fish. Lu Wangshu was stunned by the blackwater dragon fish in front of her, her mouth agape in awe. She had never seen such a big fish before. It was twice her size. Bai Ling also looked at the blackwater dragon fish with some astonishment. However, with her energy refinement late-stage cultivation level, she knew that Lu Changsheng hadn't really been fishing just now. Daddy is amazing, isn't he? Lu Changsheng said casually. Yes, Daddy is really amazing. Lu Wangshu nodded repeatedly, her gaze fixed on the blackwater dragon fish. Without a hint of suspicion, she believed the fish was caught by her father from a fishing ground. Hee. Seeing this scene, a smile appeared on Lu Changsheng's face. He thought to himself that the little cotton-padded jacket hadn't completely fallen apart after all. After chatting with the two girls for a while, he passed a message to Bai Ling with his mind: "Little Linger, wait for me tonight." The Black Dragon Codex, cultivation technique, when mastered, allows one to transform into a black dragon. Currently, Bai Ling was cultivating the most basic technique, returning origin technique. Therefore, Lu Changxing planned to teach Bai Ling the Black Dragon Codex. One reason was that, given Bai Ling's talent, she indeed needed a better cultivation technique. Another was, Bai Ling exhibited a return to ancestry with demon race bloodline, most likely that of the snake clan. In the cultivation world, snakes and dragons had somewhat similar properties. Ling Zixiao had once told him that in Bai Ling's case, if she cultivated snake or demon clan techniques, her bloodline might manifest itself to some degree. Emichim. Bai Ling, hearing Lu Changsheng's mental message, immediately lowered her eyelashes with a blush, flustered at heart. She glanced at Lu Wangshu, then softly replied, "I'll wait for brother." After chatting with the two girls for a while, Lu Changsheng went to the Lu family mansion. He asked his wife, Lu Miaoyun, to procure materials for elixir medicines like spirit nurturing elixir, wisdom opening elixir, ascending dragon elixir, as well as aquatic demon beasts with dragon blood. "All right, husband," Lu Miaoyun would never question Lu Changsheng's requests, simply nodding in agreement. Chapter 664, Refining the Tao Soldier, transmitting the method to Bai Ling. _4 Late at night. The room was quaint and ancient in style. On the bed, Bai Ling's slender and exquisite ketone body was covered with crystal clear, slippery white scales, making her appear as if she were wrapped in a layer of soft scale armor. The enticing, graceful figure was fully displayed, while her entire being exuded a bewitching and wild beauty. As her delicate body undulated, the glistening white scales flowed like the Milky Way, radiating specks of crystal pink light, resembling adorned gems, looking exceptionally dazzling. At this moment, Bai Ling was the epitome of temptation from head to toe. Her peach blossom eyes were especially alluring, misty as if drunk yet not drunk, dreamy and entrancing, stirring the most primal desires within others, making their hearts flutter. This often made Lu Changxing wonder if Bai Ling were to cultivate the bewitching technique, she might not be inferior to Nangong Meili. Afterward, "Brother," Bai Ling snuggled into Lu Changsheng's embrace, like a well-behaved kitten. Her pure and alluring face blushed like the rosy clouds, her peach blossom eyes squinting into curved crescents, looking up at Lu Changxing with a coy and satisfied expression, tugging at his heartstrings. "Little Linger," Lu Changxing held Bai Ling's soft and silky enticing jade body. The scales on her skin to the touch were extremely comfortable, making Lu Changxing unable to let go. The two continued to cuddle affectionately, savoring the afterglow, before Lu Changxing began to ask about Bai Ling's cultivation progress. Bai Ling indicated that she was currently at the peak of the 7th level of energy refinement and would soon make a breakthrough to the 8th level energy refinement. Hearing this, Lu Changxing felt a wave of emotion. He had brought Bai Ling home less than a decade ago. And Bai Ling had only truly begun cultivating about 9 years ago. In 9 years' time, she was almost ready to break through to the 8th level of energy refinement, which was incredibly astonishing. He had seen Bai Ling's status through the family system interface. Under the talent column, there was only a 5th grade spiritual root. But Bai Ling's speed of cultivation could not be explained by a mere 5th grade spiritual root. Therefore, Lu Changxing knew that Bai Ling's bloodline was even more extraordinary than he had imagined. He told Bai Ling about the Black Dragon Codex, cultivation technique, mentioning that since she was in the late stage of qi refinement, she should also consider the matter of foundation establishment. It will affect having babies. After learning about the cultivation technique, Bai Ling's first concern was its side effects. She had always grown up on Qingzhou Mountain and had seen Lu Miaoyun and others give birth to children for Lu Changxing. So she had always hoped to bear children for Lu Changxing. Her initial inability to conceive had left her deeply sad and distressed. It was Lu Changxing who had comforted her for a long time. The matter of having children, let this brother figure out how to solve it. Of course, if little Linger doesn't want to cultivate this technique, brother will teach you others, he said immediately. Lu Changxing contemplated teaching Bai Ling the Black Dragon Codex, also because of their bloodline situation, making it difficult for them to conceive children. In such a case, one more such cultivation technique would not make a difference. Perhaps cultivating the Black Dragon Codex might just reverse the situation with a poison against poison approach. If that failed, he could only look for a solution later, checking whether the system could draw elixir medicines or heavenly treasures that included pregnancy. "I'll listen to brother," Bai Ling said softly, her voice tender and soft. "Good, tomorrow brother will teach you to cultivate this technique," Lu Changxing said, holding Bai Ling in his arms with a warm voice. In the blink of an eye, more than a month had passed. Under Lu Changxing's guidance and clarification of doubts, Bai Ling had already begun to switch her cultivation to the Black Dragon Codex. With her excellent talent and Lu Changxing's teachings, she picked it up very quickly. This made Lu Changxing look forward to whether Bai Ling's cultivation of this technique would reveal any aspects of her bloodline. During this time, through Lu Miao's acquisitions, Lu Changxing bred a Blackwater Dragon Fish Dao Soldier and a Blackwater Dragon Serpent Dao Soldier from aquatic demon beasts imbued with dragon blood. After much deliberation, he designated an area in the fish farm for these 2 dragon fish and 1 dragon serpent to dwell. Otherwise, putting them in by Shui Lake was somewhat hazardous and could affect the ecosystem. As for the matter of oversight, he temporarily entrusted it to his daughter Lu Xiaoru. He asked her to take care of feeding them while looking after the fish farm, and to notify him if any issues arose. Not long ago, through his concubine Jing Yongwan, Lu Changxing learned that the Jing family had negotiated with the Su family and was about to become a vassal to the Su family. When the time came, the Jing family would marry off a legitimate daughter to the 3rd son of the Yushui Su family, while the Yushui Su family would in turn marry a side branch female to the young master of the Jing family. Hearing this news, Lu Changxing didn't say much. When Jing Yongwan first told him about it, he had guessed that there was a good chance it would happen between the 2 families. But he hadn't expected the Su family to marry a side branch female to the Jing family. After 6 days, on that day, the Blue Lake Mountain Lu family was officially established for 1 year. Lu Changxing also initiated the first family conference to summarize the year's developments. Chapter 665, Year-End Statistics, Family Atmosphere. _1 Lu Family Mansion, Council Hall. Lu Changxing sat in the main seat, with Lu Miaoge and Ling Zixiao sitting on either side. Lu Miaoyun, Lu Miaohuan, Chu Zhenjin, and other wives and children, including Lu Pingan, Lu Xianji, and Lu Rui, were seated on both sides. The entire council hall was nearly full. Husband, the family has a total of 1,430 acres of ordinary spiritual fields, where spiritual mulberry trees, red flower grass, green seed fruit, azure moon flowers, and white jade corn are planted. These spiritually imbued crops are harvested once a year, and we currently have 9,200 caddies of spirit mulberry leaves, 12,200 caddies of red flower grass, 20,050 caddies of green seed fruit, 11,300 caddies of azure moon flowers, and 23,600 caddies of white jade corn. 1,000 acres of first-grade spiritual fields are planted with the premium jade marrow rice, which is harvested once every 1.5 years, and all of it has recently been reaped and threshed, yielding 24,630 caddies of jade marrow rice and 1,150 caddies of rice bran. The remaining 150 acres of second-rank spiritual fields are planted with Bai Shui paddy, which matures once every 2.5 years. And are not yet ripe. As these crops were originally planted by the Yu family, our yields have decreased by 30 to 40% due to labor shortages and lack of familiarity since taking over. However, with additional labor, quantities are projected to gradually increase next year. Lu Miaoyan held an account book and reported on the matters concerning the family's spiritual field crops in a clear voice. Will the shortfall in production of spirit mulberry leaves, red flower grass, green seed fruit, and azure moon flowers affect the fishery? Upon hearing this, Lu Changxing inquired. These crops were all used as feed for raising spiritual fish. If there was a shortfall, it could impact the conditions of Bai Shui Lake and the fish farms. I have confirmed this with Zhong Yu and others. Currently, it won't be too big of an impact. There are prepared fish feeds stored in our warehouses. But, if it continues like this next year, it will cause some impact, Lu Miaoyan said. Alright, Lu Changxing nodded and motioned to continue. Regarding the spiritual fish, this year's yield is 11,300 catties, including 219 red blood carps totaling 2,890 catties, and 86 green blood carps weighing 1,210 catties. As for spiritual medicines, none have matured yet. Lu Miaoyan continued, the expected income from the spiritual fields is 19,000 spirit stones, and the fishery income is projected at 6,700 spirit stones. Why is the fishery income so low? Shouldn't the revenues from fishery be higher than that of the spiritual fields? Lu Changxing raised his eyebrows in surprise upon hearing this. He knew that the fishing produce from Bai Lake Mountain was the main source of income. Husband, the income from the spiritual fields is only projected to be that high. Spirit mulberry leaves, red flower grass, green seed fruit, and azure moon flowers are primarily produced for in-house use as feed for raising spiritual fish, so they aren't actually profit-making. Besides, the Yu family had just sold a batch of spiritual fish, and the lack of carp kings in the fish farms affected the ecological balance and disrupted sales channels. All these factors led to a significant decrease in fishery income. Otherwise, under normal circumstances, the income from the fish farms should be around 20,000 spirit stones, Lu Miaoyan explained. I see, Lu Changxing said, understanding that the income from the Lingtian district seemed high, but after deducting the costs of labor, seeds, and the 4 kinds of spiritually imbued crops, it was actually average. Furthermore, due to various factors, the fishery income had drastically decreased. In the future, we will just calculate the total income, expenses, and net profit. Then compare yearly growth or decline with the previous year and identify the causes for these changes, Lu Changxing instructed. Feeling that there was no need to complicate these matters. Understood, husband, Lu Miaoyan nodded in agreement. She then looked towards Lu Miaohuan, signaling for her to report. Lu Miaohuan was in charge of managing the family's spiritual fields, spiritual medicines, and fisheries. Meanwhile, the income from external shops and business partnerships was controlled by Lu Miaohuan. The remaining puppet workshop, talisman workshop, and wine brewery were each supervised by Lu Xianji, Lu Rui, and Lu Chuanjin, respectively. Currently, the family owns 11 shops, including 3 talisman shops, 2 rice shops, 2 fish shops, 1 spiritual medicine shop, 1 elixir shop, 1 magic artifact shop, and 1 tavern. The main profits come from the talisman shops and fish shops. The other shops are operated externally under a partnership model, bringing in a total income of 30,593 spirit stones. Additionally, we have 3 mining veins, currently being exploited in partnership with the 100 Birds Lake Bai family, the Ji family from Shaojing Mountain, and the Zhao family from White Tiger Mountain, with an expected income of 1,100 spirit stones. The share from the Red Leaf Valley Marketplace is 5,961 spirit stones, Lu Miaohuan reported, holding the account book and jade scroll. What is the percentage of the talisman shop's income, and what is the net profit? Lu Changxing asked, looking towards Lu Miaohuan. Talismans account for over 40% of the income, at 13,566 spirit stones. With your second-rank spirit talismans, husband, the profit margin is high at 40%, amounting to 5,400 spirit stones, Lu Miaohuan replied. Huan, in the future, also calculate the expenses and profit directly in this area, Lu Changxing said softly. After finishing, he turned to his children and said, continue please. Father, currently the puppet workshop has 13 apprentice students and 61 workers. They have crafted 13 beast type number 1, 11 flying eagle type number 1, and 2 humanoid puppets. The total cost of materials amounted to 2,832 spirit stones. Lu Xianji stood up and reported. Let me know when you can proficiently make humanoid puppets, Lu Changxing said. Also, when it comes to training personnel, don't worry about the extra expense as long as they have potential in this area, he added. Chapter 666, Year-End Statistics, Family Atmosphere. Lu Chongqing nodded and then said, Beast number 1, bird number 1, humanoid number 1, were the 3 blueprints he provided to Lu Xianji, instructing him to bring people up to speed on them. The follow-up plan was to continuously upgrade these puppets and create advanced models. Yes, father. Lu Xianji bowed respectfully and then sat down. Standing to the side, his daughter Lu Rui got up and said crisply, Daddy, the main business of the talisman-making factory currently revolves around subcontracting work to produce ordinary talisman paper and spirit ink for Qingzhou Mountain. This year, we produced a total of 962 sheets of ordinary talisman paper and 115 boxes of spirit ink, earning a total of 63 spirit stones. Not bad, to have made money in the first year. Lu Chongqing couldn't help but laugh cheerfully when he heard this. However, if labor and production costs were deducted, there was actually no profit, and in fact, it was operating at a loss. Father, the winemaking workshop produced 950 caddies of white jade wine and 460 caddies of spirit mulberry wine this year. These drinks used up 4,920 caddies of white jade rice and 2,100 caddies of spirit mulberry leaves, with the remaining ingredients costing a total of 863 spirit stones. If all the alcohol was sold, the expected revenue would be 1,400 spirit stones. At that moment, Lu Chuanjin reported. Not bad, next year we should be able to break even and start making a profit. Lu Chongqing nodded in approval upon hearing Lu Quanzhen's words. Husband, the family currently has 241 members, including 3 foundation establishment cultivators, 3 at the late stage of qi refinement, 20 at the middle stage of qi refinement, and 12 at the early stage of qi refinement. According to family rules, for the birth of newborns, the family provides encouragement. This year, 31 newborns have been born in the family. Xiao Yueru said aloud. The duties she was responsible for were relatively simple, involving the management of family juniors' conditions, providing rewards for family concubines and children. Her main focus currently was distributing rewards for newborns. Not bad. Lu Chongqing nodded slightly. Out of the 33 newborns, besides the 8 that were his own, the remaining 25 were all from the 3rd generation of the Lu family. Through the system, he knew that none of these 25 individuals possessed a spiritual root. He wasn't too concerned about this. After all, aside from Lu Xianji, none of his children had a spiritual root. The chances of giving birth to offspring with a spiritual root were incredibly slim. In fact, once the offspring reached 20, the system ceased to provide any child money, leaving Lu Chongqing feeling slightly disappointed. He had thought he could earn a substantial amount of child money through his children. This year, the family's profit was 54,688 spirit stones. After everyone had finished reporting, Ling Zixiao, holding a jade scroll and looking graceful and dignified, began to speak. Her first sentence instantly surprised everyone present, as they had not expected the family's profit to be so high this year. Aside from talismans, fishery products, mines, shop rentals, and marketplace fees, the primary income came from the sale of assets, garnering 31,500 spirit stones. Ling Zixiao continued, this year, the family expenditure was 80,649 spirit stones. This includes one purchase of the Ji family spirit land which cost 16,000 spirit stones, tribute to the Qingyun sect at 12,000 spirit stones, family members' salaries and rewards at 12,760 spirit stones. The family guest elders' offerings amounted to 1,200 spirit stones, and recruiting apprentices, spiritual farmers, and fishermen, amounted to a total of 123 people, altogether costing 1,839 spirit stones. In terms of family construction, the Great Formation cost 24,891 spirit stones, the fisheries cost 1,561 spirit stones, the spiritual medicine cost 2,300 spirit stones, the workshops cost 3,692 spirit stones, external purchases cost 1,251 spirit stones, and social interactions cost 3,152 spirit stones. Ling Zixiao spoke in a clear and melodious voice, calmly and elegantly. Hiss. We spent so much this year. We lost over 10,000 spirit stones. If it weren't for the sale of assets, wouldn't we have lost over 50,000? This. In the meeting hall, all the concubines and children were stunned upon hearing this. They had not expected that after establishing the Bai Lake Mountain, the spending and consumption would be so significant. Not only were they shocked, but Lu Miaoyun, Lu Miaohuan, and even Lu Miaoga were taken aback upon seeing the expenditure of spirit stones. The costs were simply too extravagant. I didn't expect us to spend so much this year. However, it is mostly due to the expenses of the Ji family spirit land and the family's great formation. Next year, once the family stabilizes, and we reduce overhead for labor and family construction, and as the fishery and workshops start to profit, things will gradually improve. Lu Changxing chuckled lightly upon seeing this. His approach to spending money was always extravagant and carefree, without a notion of frugality and never bothered with meticulous calculations or awareness of the amount spent. Additionally, during this period, he had privately commissioned the Ji family and Xiao Xia to purchase spiritual materials for his personal use. Many such transactions did not go through the family's ledger. Otherwise, the expenditure would have been even more exaggerated. Of course, this year I made quite a sum selling second-rank talismans, but that income also went into my private coffers. You all should strive harder, too. The wealth I have accumulated over the years is almost depleted. If we keep incurring losses, the family will struggle to function with such a deficit. Lu Changxing turned to his children Lu Pingan, Lu Xianji, Lu Rui, and others as he continued. Father, the family is currently in the initial stages of development, and there are many areas where money is needed. We siblings are not yet able to create a stable income. You may consider adjusting and reducing the family's expenses until the family stabilizes and gradually becomes profitable, after which we can readjust. Chapter 667, Year-End Statistics, Family Atmosphere. At this moment, Lu Chuanjun stood up, his expression serious, and looked towards Lu Changxing. With a slight bow, he said in a deep voice. In his opinion, although the expenses for the family's great formation and the Ji family spirit land were high, the allowances for himself and his siblings, including the concubines, were also obviously excessive. Father, I also think so. Seeing this, Lu Pingan quickly stood up and said. He knew that this kind of issue could easily upset his other brothers and sisters or concubines, so as the eldest brother, he spoke up to take some of the pressure off Lu Chuanjun. Witnessing this, a few more children stood up and said the same. Well, maintain the status quo for this year. If the family is still running at a severe loss next year, with expenses exceeding income, I will consider this matter. Lu Changxing raised his hand, indicating for everyone to sit down, and proceeded to say. Miaoyun, next year's main expenditures should be on talent development, especially in puppetry and wine brewing. We can increase the recruitment and training of talents in these areas. As for alchemy, talisman making, and formation, these fields require precision rather than quantity. We will train those within the family who have the ability, and if there is nobody talented in these areas, we don't need to force it. Lu Changxing addressed Lu Miaoyun. In his view, relying solely on spiritual fields and fisheries, as well as the medicinal herb gardens, was certainly inadequate. These three could only be considered primary industries, forming the basis for Bai Lake Mountain. To earn money, it was necessary to depend on secondary industry, manufacturing. Within Lu Changxing's plan, once the secondary industries like puppetry and wine brewing were on a stable footing and turned profitable, it would be about time to allow his children to venture out. Start expanding through the Red Leaf Valley market and the family's current shops, and begin to branch out into the tertiary industry through their revenue. Yes, my husband. Lu Miaoyun responded, nodding at his words. This family meeting was primarily to ensure that the concubines and children had a general understanding of the family's current situation. Otherwise, when it came to the family's overall arrangements, Lu Miaoyun was already well aware. All right, does anyone have anything to say? Any suggestions or ideas for the family, feel free to speak up. Lu Changxing looked towards his concubines and children and said. Father, I have something to say. Lu Chuanjun stood up, bowed, and said. He stated that the current situation of the family was somewhat lax and casual, with all the children choosing their studies and tasks at will. This was normal, but the family should have regulations, requiring that after breaking through to the 4th level of energy refinement or reaching a certain age, one should start contributing to the family. Especially since the family was newly established and expenses exceeded income, it was even more necessary for the family's children to work and contribute to the family. After all, with spiritual fields, fisheries, and spiritual medicines inside, and stores and mines outside, there were many tasks that could be arranged. Lu Changsheng looked at his son. There was nothing wrong with what he said. However, he hadn't given much thought to the harmony between brothers and sisters. After all, the family had quite a few children, as Lu Chuanjun described, with mediocre spiritual root talent who did not take cultivation or tasks seriously. Chuanjun, you do have a point in this matter. However, it's only been a little over a year since the Xiaohou money incident, and there might still be other Xiaohou remnants watching our family, so let's put the matter of going out on hold for the moment. As for the arrangement of internal affairs within the family, Lu Changsheng, turning to Lu Miaoyun, continued, Yuner, for family children who are 16 years old and have not yet breached the 4th level of energy refinement, arrange tasks for them. These tasks will not only count towards family contribution but also be assessed annually to decide the family's allowance for the next year. Since Lu Chuanjun had spoken to this extent, he felt that the ethos indeed needed to change. After all, if there were too many lazy children, it would not only affect the ethos of the family and the attitudes of others but would also upset those children who were seriously working. While he could afford to support them, the family was newly established, and the ethos had to be kept under control to prevent any problems. Yes, my husband. Lu Miaoyun nodded and responded. Chapter 668, Family System _1, This family council shall come to an end here. If there is anything else, you may come to see me directly. Lu Changsheng looked towards his wives, concubines, and children, and said aloud. He was also aware that in such a setting, his wives, concubines, and children all had difficulty speaking freely. If a concubine raised an issue related to the family system, it would reflect poorly on him as the head of the household and as a father, and on the aunts for failing to discipline properly. If the children spoke up about some issues, it could affect sibling relationships and family harmony. Yes. The others, upon hearing this, all stood up and responded. After that, Lu Changsheng, along with Ling Zixiao, Lu Miaoge, and others, left the council hall. Sister Miaoge, Zixiao, do you think there are any issues that still need to be improved in the family system? Back at the Changsheng hall, Lu Changsheng looked at Lu Miaoge and Ling Zixiao and inquired. He felt that aside from profit-making, his family needed to pay attention to the atmosphere and the system. At present, the family rules were roughly similar to those of the Lu family of Qingzhou Mountain. But Lu Changsheng was very clear in his understanding that his family was entirely different from the Lu family of Qingzhou Mountain. The Lu family of Qingzhou Mountain had a history of several hundred years, and because of this, family affection and blood ties tend to be much weaker, making them place more emphasis on rules and clan regulations. Whereas his own family was still everyone's family. To call it a family would be more accurate than to call it a clan. As the head of this family, he did not usually interfere much in affairs, being rather casual toward most matters. Lu Miaoyun, Chu Zhenjin, and others had also watched the children of the house grow up. In such a situation, they were not too strict with the children, not following the rules entirely. My lord, in terms of family system, I think there are a few points that need attention, Ling Zixiao said with a slight smile after glancing at Lu Miaoge. Zixiao, feel free to speak your mind. Lu Changsheng said aloud. He knew that his ability to manage family affairs was average, so he was very willing to listen to suggestions. My lord, I think tasks like farming the spiritual fields, fishery, the herbal garden, and managing the family shops, cooperations, and so on, should all be handed over to the children to manage. This way, not only will all the children have work to do, they will also get the experience they need and improve the family atmosphere. Otherwise, if we let Miaoyun and the others handle these matters all the time, it's not good for the family. Ling Zixiao spoke. Why? Lu Chongqing raised an eyebrow and asked. My lord, if Miaoyun and the others make mistakes in some family affairs, would you punish them? Ling Zixiao asked with a half-smile. Upon hearing this, Lu Chongqing paused, immediately realizing some of the problems. He shook his head, and said honestly, probably not, at most I'd say a few words. That's exactly it. Miaoyun and the others are already responsible for many things in the house, and now they have to take on these as well. They are very busy, and it's very possible that they make some small mistake or handle family affairs inadequately. In such cases, if you, my lord, don't say anything, others naturally won't either. Over the long term, this will make the family's rewards and punishments unclear. Ling Zixiao sat down by the table with dignified and graceful bearing, poured a cup of tea, and continued to say, Now, there are quite a few children in the house who have reached 14 or 15 years of age and can be arranged to work. Failing at the beginning is not to be feared, the family can give them enough leeway for trial and error. Furthermore, if children make mistakes or fail in their tasks, we, as elders, can teach and admonish them, without causing resentment among the children in the house. If the children see their elders making mistakes or doing poorly and you don't say anything, how could they dare to speak up? Ling Zixiao drank her tea, saying with a smile. Chongqing, Sister Ling has a point, Lu Miaoge said, also taking a seat and joining in. Indeed, Lu Chongqing nodded. With Ling Zixiao pointing it out this way, he clearly recognized the issue. These tasks will eventually have to be taken over by the children, so we might as well let them do it now. During this period, if someone does a good job, we should reward them more, which can also encourage the other children in the family to get more involved. As for the children with excellent spiritual root talent or skill talents, they should focus solely on cultivation or refining their skills, or do some lighter work without spending too much time on tasks. As for those with no talent or capability, we can arrange for Miaoyun to find them a spouse sooner, as it's no problem to have a few idle members of the household. Besides, having more children also counts as contributing to the family, Ling Zixiao said, her face showing a light smile as she continued. Chongqing, the work done by Xianji, Rui, Chuanjin, and the others is quite good, so we can let all the children try to take over these tasks. If they do well, it can serve as encouragement and play a leading role. And Miaoyun, Huan, and the others can also then focus on domestic affairs and cultivation. Lu Miaoge nodded slightly, agreeing with Ling Zixiao's opinion. All right, I will talk about this with Miaoyun and Huan later, Lu Chongqing said after hearing this, nodding his head. As Ling Zixiao said, now the family could afford it, having enough margin for trial and error. This would also make it easier for him to arrange things based on the children's abilities, customizing his teachings to each child's capacity. Otherwise, like now, after making a simple arrangement, he hadn't paid much attention to follow-ups, which not only affected Miaoyun's planning but also failed to fully tap into the children's talents. Moreover, he had also come to realize an issue. Many of the tasks carried out by his children were determined by him and Lu Miaoyun. Over time, some concubines and children might harbor some dissenting thoughts. According to Ling Zixiao's proposal, all tasks could be subdivided and assigned according to ability. Chapter 669, Family System. Perform well and there will be rewards. Fail to meet expectations and someone else will take your place. If you can't do anything right, then you'll just take the basic welfare at home. Let the family arrange your marriage, settle down early, and have more children. After chatting for a while, Lu Chongqing summoned Lu Miaoyun, Lu Miaohuan, and Chu Zhenjin. Whether it was him, Ling Zixiao, or Lu Miaoge, none of them really intervened or paid too much attention to the internal affairs of the family. So although the three of them talked, they still called Lu Miaoyun, Lu Miaohuan, and others to understand the actual situation of the family. After Lu Chongqing expressed his thoughts, Lu Miaoyun and Lu Miaohuan naturally had no objections to this. Just as Ling Zixiao said, as the main housekeepers of the family, they were naturally inundated with numerous miscellaneous duties. Now also in charge of a plethora of family affairs, they were indeed very busy and had no time for cultivation on regular days. For Lu Miaohuan, it was still alright as she advanced to the 7th level energy refinement with a high rank breakthrough elixir. Lu Miaoyun has not yet broken through to the 7th level energy refinement. Alright, Yuner, Huanhuan, Jinjin, you must pay more attention to the internal and personnel affairs of the family. As for the spirit fields, fishery, medical gardens, shops, cooperative businesses, etc., there's no need to rush. You roughly divide it up, and well review it later to see how to arrange it. Lu Changxing spoke up, saying this. Yes, my lord, the women responded. After discussing the situation, they began to talk about the personalities of the children at home. Lu Miaoyun said that children in the family, like Lu Pingan and Lu Xianji, were still quite reliable. But nowadays, some of the younger children were indeed a bit more mischievous. On one hand, there were so many children in the family, and it was impossible to teach and nurture each and every one of them. On the other hand, it's also related to the family's growing environment. Back when Lu Changxing was a son-in-law at Qingzhou Mountain, the children at home were somewhat restrained in their lives. Now, with Lu Changsheng's rise in status, the status of his wives and children also soared, affecting the children's characters to some extent. After chatting with his wives, Lu Changxing stepped out of Changxing Hall to have a heart-to-heart talk with his children. In his view, as a father, his main work in the family was coordination. He first sought out his eldest son, Lu Pingan. He asked his son for his views and feelings about the current situation of the family. Lu Pingan, though somewhat reserved and upright, still had a clear view of many things. In his opinion, the biggest problem of the family was the harmony among brothers. With so many brothers in the family, it was difficult to say they were close and friendly. Sigh. Hearing this, Lu Changxing let out a light sigh. He was more than aware of the issue. Not to mention being close and friendly, and harmony among brothers, he reckoned that some of his children might harbor resentment due to his partiality, selfishness, and unfairness, but they wouldn't show it in the face of the family's core interests. After chatting with Lu Pingan for a while, he then conversed with his son Lu Xianji and daughter Lu Rui. Lu Xianzi's views were somewhat similar to Lu Pingan's. He felt a sense of responsibility as the eldest in the family, expressing guilt that, despite his average talent and capability, he was so favored by Lu Changxing. His daughter Lu Rui, on the other hand, didn't feel much and thought the current situation wasn't bad. She was quite happy. When he found Lu Chuanjun, the latter was with Lu Caizhen in Hushan town, taking 2 other younger siblings out to play. Father, your son greets you. Daddy, why are you here? Seeing Lu Changxing, the 4 immediately greeted him. Lu Chuanjun and his son Lu Huaizhen were relatively mature and greeted him respectfully. Lu Caizhen and Lu Yuzhen, the 2 daughters, were much more affectionate and approached with laughing faces. There was a big family meeting today, and I thought the family indeed neglected many aspects, so I came over to have a talk with you and hear your thoughts, and I noticed that Chuanjun seemed to have something to say at the meeting today. Lu Changxing looked at his children, smiling as he spoke. Turning to Lu Chuanjun in a gentle voice he said, Chuanjun, you can talk to me privately or use a voice transmission if you have such concerns in the future. There's no need to speak of such things in public, as it impacts the harmony between you and your brothers. Daddy, brother had good intentions, there were no other meanings. Lu Caizhen thought that his father came to lecture him and, while holding Lu Changsheng's arm coquettishly, said, Father, I believe that it is only effective to bring up such matters on occasions like this. Lu Chuanjun, upon hearing this, showed a serious expression and said in a deep voice, Are you not worried that your words might provoke the displeasure of others? Lu Changxing smiled and said, he knew that his son was mature for his age and had a mind of his own. In the preceding years, he had sent Lu Chuanjun to work under Hong Yi in Rui Prefecture, and Hong Yi had nothing but praise for him. He said that Lu Chuanjun was steady in his work and decisive in killing. But in fact, as his son grew older, he realized that he didn't really understand him as much as he thought. I'm not worried. If they feel displeasure or resentment because I brought up this matter, it shows that these people do not share the same heart as the family and do not consider me a brother, so why should I care about their opinions? Lu Chuanjun, with deep eyes and a composed expression, said. Lu Changxing, hearing his son's words, raised his eyebrows, roughly understanding his son's ideas and thoughts. He continued to ask, then, what other thoughts do you have about this? Father, in my view, Lu Chuanjun slightly raised his eyebrows and slowly articulated his thoughts. Lu Changxing listened quietly. His son, Lu Quanzhen's ideas about the family were different from his own. Essentially, it was about valuing rules over familial affection. As Lu Chuanjun said, as a member of the family, one should share in its hardships and contribute to the family. If one lacks this mindset, it indicates a lack of belonging to the family and not considering oneself a part of the family. In such cases, strict punishment should be administered to improve the moral climate. This rationale even formed a loop: you contribute to the family, you are part of the family. If you don't contribute to the family, you are not considered one of us, and there is no need to be polite to such people. Brother, we're all one family, you don't have to be so strict. Besides, everyone has different ambitions, and Daddy has always said that being happy is what matters. Lu Yuzhen stuck out her tongue and said so. No demands, being happy is what matters. Lu Changxing, hearing these words, thoughtfully looked at his daughter. Upon reflection, he realized that he had never had any particular demands on his children. As long as they were happy, that was good enough. Even though he could see his children's abilities through the system, he still tended to follow their own desires in many things. He thought back to when his son Lu Wuyu spoke to him about the matters of the Lu family in Rui Prefecture. His son had stated that the Lu family disciples were bound to produce arrogant individuals who needed to be strictly controlled. Actually, the current situation in his own Blue Lake Mountain Lu family also had tendencies in this respect. As their father, I indeed have been too permissive in this regard. If we were just a large ordinary family, it wouldn't matter, but now that we've established a cultivation family, we should still resemble a family to some extent. After all, my original intention to establish the family was to provide a better environment for my children to grow up in and allow them to continue growing through the family. It's not about leaning on me alone to sustain the family and everyone in it. Lu Changxing pondered in his heart. He turned to Lu Chuanjun and said, your thoughts, your father has roughly understood, but such things can't be accomplished all at once. Your father has also discussed these matters with your mother and several of your aunts today. Lu Changxing slowly conveyed his thoughts to Lu Chuanjun. Since his son had ideas, he was willing to share more with him. However, his own thoughts were still as Ling Zixiao had said, aiming for change through guidance. After all, the family's current situation hadn't reached the point where it needed to rely wholly on clan rules as Lu Chuanjun had suggested. After chatting with his son Lu Chuanjun, as the evening grew dark, Lu Changxing took his children to the Lu family mansion for a meal. As a cultivator, he naturally didn't need to eat or drink, but occasionally he still indulged in satisfying his palate. Moreover, cultivators eating spirit rice and spiritual meals also helped with their cultivation. In the following days, Lu Changxing had conversations with his children, showing concern for their situations and also preparing for the upcoming changes in the family system. Half a month later, Lu Changxing issued new family rules. All family disciples who reached the age of 14 could apply to take part in family affairs. If they hadn't achieved the 4th level energy refinement by the age of 16, they would be assigned by the family. The family would calculate the next year's salary and benefits annually based on cultivation progress, family contributions, and moral conduct. Chapter 670, Family Great Formation completed, planting trees. One time flew, and 2 months had passed. With the new rules of the family, all Lu family members aged 14 had the option to actively apply for family affairs. Although not everyone could be like Lu Xianji, Lu Rui, and Lu Chuanjun, directly in charge of a workshop. Each person was assigned spirit fields, fishing zones, shops, and other business matters. They could also choose to enter one of the 3 major workshops to manage certain projects or select a skill from the family to improve upon. If the family school didn't offer the skill and you had ideas and the courage to go for it, the family would provide the relevant inheritance and some funds for you to learn through trial and error. In such circumstances, these children were filled with enthusiasm. After all, they themselves understood that at the current stage of the family, if they worked hard, they could still compete for a place. If they waited until the family continued to grow in size, with more people and talents like Lu Qingxian and Lu Wangshu coming of age, without a special skill of their own, they would truly only be able to serve as drones at home. Moreover, even if the children were still young and ignorant, their mothers were aware that the family was in its early stages of establishment, which was precisely the opportunity for their own children. If their children demonstrated exceptional talents and abilities, they might get Lu Changsheng's attention and cultivation. Even if their own children lacked talents, as long as they were diligent and practical, they could still gain control over part of the family's industries, which would significantly benefit their future cultivation and family establishment. Seeing the bustling activity among the family's children, Lu Changsheng did not continue to monitor it closely. He had delegated these affairs to Lu Miaoyun, Lu Miaohuan, Chu Zhenzhen, Bai Feifei, and Zheng Yonghuan. After all, besides the day-to-day cultivation, talisman making, refining the 9 treasure jade rui, and healing Ling Zixio's injuries, he really did not have much spare time to worry about so much. One day, Ling Zixiao informed Lu Changsheng that the great formation of the Bai Lake Mountain family had finally been completed after a year and 2.5 months. Has it finally been completed? Upon hearing this news, a faint smile emerged on Lu Changsheng's face. Since he occasionally chatted with Ling Zixiao, he was well aware of the reasons why the family's great formation had taken so much time and consumed so many spirit stones to repair. Now that he had heard the great formation was completely refurbished, he was somewhat expectant of this new formation. Both of them left Changsheng Hall and headed to the mountain gate. Mo Shorin and others were waiting. Upon seeing Lu Changsheng, they politely said, "Lu Daoist, the great formation of your esteemed family has been repaired. We are now waiting for your inspection. Master Mo and everyone have worked hard." Lu Changsheng bowed in respect. Since the formation was supervised and participated throughout by Ling Zixiao, he was quite confident about its completion. However, as the mountain master, he still needed to inspect the formation so Mo Shorin could report back. "Hehe, Lu Daoist flatters me. This great formation has been almost completely overhauled based on the original by Shui Qing Tian formation. Not only have the weaknesses been adjusted and reduced, upgrading it to a second-tier top-level formation, but it also has been enhanced with 3 layers of variations." As the array master took out the array plate and began to explain, he demonstrated to Lu Changsheng. Instantly, the originally faint mist of Bai Lake Mountain thickened at a visible rate, turning a deep blue color. Besides the runic symbols swimming like fish, there was also a faint presence of thunder permeating the air. This first layer of variation is named Depths Water True Thunder. The great formation can summon Depths Water True Thunder for attacks, with each strike comparable to a Foundation Establishment Cultivator's hit, and the strongest can summon Depths Water True Thunder comparable to a full-blown strike from a nascent soul immortal. As the array master spoke, his hands formed a spell, and he took out a small blue flag and waved it vigorously. Boom! Suddenly, the spiritual pressure of the formation surged, numerous blue thunder orbs appeared, and in the sky, dark clouds gathered, a massive azure lightning bolt fermenting, filling the air with a fearsome aura. This Depths Water True Thunder is more suitable for large-scale attacks, right? Lu Changsheng lifted his head and looked at the thunder brewing in the sky and commented. Indeed, the third-tier Depths Water True Thunder consumes a lot and is only suitable for widespread attacks. If a group of enemies were to invade, and the Depths Water True Thunder fell, all would be reduced to ash. So spoke the array master. Then, with his hands forming a spell, he continued to showcase and explain, this second layer is called by water current flow. It can manipulate the water veins of the lake, not only to wield the lake's water against enemies but also to raise a layer of mist to obscure divine sense. As the formation rumbled to life, the thunder previously filling the air dissipated, and the calm waters of Bai Shui Lake began to surge with waves. Columns of water shot up into the sky and a veiling mist spread, making parts of the formation seem to be covered with layers of flowing water and mist. Using the water veins against the enemy might affect the family's Bai Shui Lake, so I won't demonstrate too much. This layer of lake water can increase the defense of the formation by about 30%. As for the mist, it not only boosts the defense of the formation to some extent but also has the effect of obscuring the divine sense. Many array masters use techniques like eye skills and divine sense to find the weak points in a formation and break it. With this layer of mist, it can effectively obscure and make it difficult to find flaws. With the array plate in hand, the array master explained aloud. Lu Changsheng looked towards the area covered by the formation's water mist and investigated with his divine sense. He discovered that his divine sense was indeed somewhat blocked, but the effect was not too significant. However, considering that the Great Formation was not operating at full power, and that his divine sense had already reached the late stage of foundation establishment, it seemed normal. The third layer is called Heavy Water Suppressing Technique. Thanks to Daoist Lu's quasi-magical treasure Heavy Water Bead, as the central piece of the formation, it creates a layered array, adding a kind of restriction effect within the formation. When the formation is active, ordinary energy refining cultivators entering it can't fly with treasures, and foundation establishment cultivators who wish to fly will have to spend 20 to 30% more mana. Chapter 671, Family Great Formation Completed, Planting Trees. Master Amo spoke these words, allowing the effects of part of the heavy water suppressing technique to fall upon Lu Changsheng, letting him experience it firsthand. Lu Changsheng immediately felt his body sink, and when he attempted to rise into the air, it was as though he was lifting a tremendous weight, obliging him to expend far more mana to take flight. This effect is quite good. Lu Changsheng nodded in satisfaction. He knew that major marketplaces like Nine Dragons Market and Qingyan Market all had flight restrictions in place. But he had never attempted to fly in these marketplaces before. Now, the effect of his family's heavy water suppressing technique seemed to share a similar remarkable principle. To know that foundation establishment cultivators, under the effect of the Great Formation, would need to spend 20 to 30% more mana to fly, making it much harder for them to escape once they entered the formation. Moreover, just a single oceanic bead could produce such an effect. If Ling Zixio's health were to recover, and all 36 oceanic beads of his family were deployed, the effect of the heavy water suppressing technique could likely directly suppress those at foundation establishment. Even nascent soul immortals would be somewhat affected. It was akin to leveraging the spirit vein to activate the oceanic bead as a magical treasure. Lu Daoist, this is the current state and triple change of the Great Formation. Master Amo handed the array plate and flags to Lu Changsheng, continuing, if Lu Daoist has no issues, I will return to report. As for the specific details and aspects of the Great Formation, with Ling Daoist here, there should be no need for excessive explanation on my part. In his speech, he looked towards Ling Zixiao with a hint of regret. Through regular interaction, he knew Ling Zixio's proficiency in formation was not much less than his own. However, due to health issues, Ling Zixio's cultivation had declined greatly, scarcely able to maintain or fully operate the Great Formation, which was truly regrettable. Of course, there's no problem, Master Amo. You have worked hard these days on arranging and repairing the Great Formation for my by Lake Mountain. It is truly laborious, Lu Changsheng spoke as he immediately produced a prepared gift. Although Master Mo had been invited to arrange the formation through the Qingyan token, and all the materials were provided by his own family, it was nonetheless a task that took over a year, during which he not only repaired the formation but also arranged for an earth-fire formation to be set up in the alchemy chamber, artifact refinement room, and puppet workshop, nurturing the fire vein. In such a case, it was only proper to show appreciation. Besides, it was good to be acquainted with such an array master and forge some connections. He then took out 2 more gift boxes for Master Mo's 2 disciples. Even though these 2 were still energy refining cultivators and first-grade array masters, they also had potential and it was good to make a favorable impression. Lu Daoist is being too courteous. In these days of arranging the formation and exchanging insights with Ling Daoist, I have also benefited a lot. Master Mo gladly accepted the gift without declining. Many thanks, Lu Mountain Lord. Seeing this, the 2 disciples politely accepted the gift boxes as well. In that case, Lu Daoist, Ling Daoist, I shall take my leave. Master Mo bowed. Master Mo, travel safely. Lu Changxing opened the mountain gate and politely escorted the guests out. Afterward, Master Mo released a spirit boat, taking his 2 disciples away. The 3 of you have also worked hard during this time. Afterward, Lu Changxing turned to the 3 array masters brought in by Lu Yuanding and spoke. He paid each of them in spirit stones and also gave them each 2 second-rank talismans. This wasn't because he had money to spare, but rather because the family was currently in the construction phase, and it was important to build a good reputation on such small matters. Later, if he wanted to find people for tasks, or to invite someone or recruit guest elders, it would be beneficial. Many thanks, Lu Mountain Lord. Lu Mountain Lord, you are too kind, said the 3. Although they were array masters, they appeared both polite and pleasantly surprised. After all, Lu Changxing was not only a foundation establishment great cultivator and a talisman master but had also single-handedly eliminated 3 foundation establishers and now also had a deep connection with Qinyan sect. In these circumstances, they naturally hoped to ingratiate themselves with Lu Changxing and Bai Lake Mountain. My Bai Lake Mountain has just been built, and we are currently in desperate need of talent. If any of you have thoughts on the matter, you are welcome to serve as guest elders on my Bai Lake Mountain, Lu Changxing said after the pleasantries. Array masters were in demand by every family, not only for the family's great formation but also in many other places where formation was needed. Even though the skills of the 3 were quite ordinary, merely top-class array masters, they were still sufficiently qualified to serve as guest elders. Upon hearing this, the 3 wished to decline. For their level in the formation path, they could serve as guest elders for many families. If the 3 of you serve as guest elders on my Bai Lake Mountain and contribute sufficiently, I have the second-rank formation path inheritance and my own insights on the formation path to offer, said Ling Zixiao indifferently. The 3 of them immediately looked conflicted. Over the year, they had witnessed Ling Zixiao's level and formation, and if they could receive the second-rank formation path inheritance and guidance from Ling Zixiao, perhaps their formation abilities could advance further. Eventually, 2 of them were tempted and expressed willingness to serve as guest elders on Bai Lake Mountain. Immediately, Lu Changxing signed a spiritual contract with the 2. The 2 would serve Bai Lake Villa, maintaining the family's great formation regularly and teaching formation knowledge to the Lu family. Lu Changxing provided a basic compensation of 60 spirit stones per month, and for tasks like arranging formations, they would receive additional remuneration. After settling the matter, Lu Changxing explained the situation of the 2 to Lu Miaoyun, asking her to rearrange accommodations for them at Bai Lake Villa. Zi Shao, does the family's great formation require any further changes going forward? Lu Changxing inquired as he turned to Ling Zixiao. Lu Lang, rest assured, the great formation situation is already completely secure. The only issue is that harnessing the water veins and lake water for the full operation of the formation will affect the ecology of Bai Shui Lake. Chapter 672, Family Great Formation Completed, Planting Trees. However, once I've arranged all 36 oceanic beads into a formation, this problem will naturally be resolved. Ling Zixiao spoke. Zixiao, thank you for your hard work. Lu Changxing said warmly, holding Ling Zixiao's delicate, white hand. Lu Lang need not be so formal, as a member of the family, I should do my part for the family. Ling Zixiao replied with a gentle smile. She had known Lu Changxing for 3.5 years. During those 3.5 years, she had not completely fallen in love with Lu Changxing, but her feelings had grown considerably. Especially in this past year, due to serious injuries, Lu Changxing gave her the most company and attention. And every half-month, Lu Miaoge would come to treat her, nurturing her meridians and dantian. She wouldn't speak too much about these things, but she kept all of them in her heart. Since Lu Changxing was willing to offer genuine feelings, she was naturally prepared to respond in kind, heart for heart. Zi Shao, you should have a formation to hide a 3rd-rank spirit plant on you, right? Lu Changxing asked Ling Zixiao. Now that the family's great formation was completely set up, he was also preparing to plant the luminous treasure tree. third-rank spirit plant. Hearing this, Ling Zixiao was somewhat surprised. It should be known that third-rank spirit plants, also known as heavenly spirit plants, were extremely precious and rare. Apart from some secret realms or immortal sects, few powers cultivated third-rank spirit plants. First of all, such spirit plants were rare and not easy to come by. To transplant them to one's own home was very difficult. Even if you managed to transplant them, if the soil or environment was unsuitable, there was a risk of causing the plant to die, thus wasting heaven's gift. Another point was that they were difficult to cultivate. Third-rank spirit plants needed to be at least planted on a second-grade spirit vein. The amount of spiritual energy they required was no less than what a foundation establishment cultivator needed for cultivation. To cultivate them properly, it was best to plant them on a third-grade spirit vein. Will you be planting the third-rank spirit plant here, my lord? Now on by Lake Mountain, only by Yun Peak is a second-grade spirit vein. Ling Zixiao didn't question how Lu Changsheng got a third-rank spirit plant. After all, in her eyes, Lu Changsheng was extremely mysterious, and having a third-rank spirit plant was plausible. But through their time together, she knew that Lu Changsheng's knowledge of the cultivation world was limited, and she worried that he might not be aware of these things. I've always reserved a section at the back cliff of Lingsui Cliff for planting this spirit plant. With the conditions at Lingsui Cliff, it is barely sufficient for cultivating the plant. As for plans for Baiyun Peak, I will arrange that later, Lu Changsheng said. He intended to plant the Mount Sumer Tree King on Baiyun Peak. Furthermore, he, Ling Zixiao, and Lu Miaoge would also need to cultivate on Baiyun Peak in the future. If he were to plant both the Luminous Treasure Tree and the Mount Sumer Tree King on Baiyun Peak, it would severely affect the spiritual energy balance of the peak. As for planting the Luminous Treasure Tree at Lingsui Cliff, he had asked Zhao Qingxing previously, who said that while growth might be somewhat affected, normally there should be no significant problems. If the spirit plant is not too big, and you simply wish to conceal it and isolate its aura, I have a set of the celestial canopy formation that should do, Ling Zixiao said after some thought. Lu Changxing considered this and said, it's not very large, but it's not small either. Soon after, the two arrived at Lingsui Cliff. Greetings, Mountain Master, greetings, Lady. Father, Aunt Ling. The cultivators and children on Lingsui Cliff immediately paid their respects upon seeing Lu Changsheng and Ling Zixiao. Because Lu Changsheng disliked the term elder ancestor and everyone in the family was not old, the family cultivators called him Mountain Master, while they referred to Ling Zixiao and Lu Miaoge, the two foundation establishment cultivators, as ladies. Similarly, some concubines also addressed Ling Zixiao and Lu Miaoge in this manner. Only Lu Miaoyun, Lu Miaohuan, and Chu Zhenjin, who were relatively close, referred to them as sisters. All right. Lu Changxing nodded in acknowledgement and proceeded to the Lingtian district he had reserved with Ling Zixiao. Is this where you intend to plant the third-rank spirit plant, my lord? Ling Zixiao inquired, looking at Lu Changxing. That's right. Lu Changxing nodded. Whoosh, 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 Ling Zixiao nodded and tapped her storage bag with her palm. An array plate appeared, and numerous array flags scattered out, as she began to form the needed spell and set up the formation. The celestial canopy formation, being a simplified formation with both an array plate and array flags, was completed in a short time. She activated the formation, filling the surrounding area with a faint white glow, concealing the sector from view. Retrieve it. Observing the formation, Lu Changxing took the profound origin bead from his dantian, then with a subtle nudge of his mental spirit, he extracted the luminous treasure tree from the system space. As mana flowed from within the profound origin bead, a tree nearly 10 feet tall and as thick as a water tank, devoid of leaves, with cracked and coarse bark, but shimmering with a vivacious blue-gold hue, appeared. It was indeed the luminous treasure tree. The whole tree looked somewhat unattractive, making it difficult for one to associate it with a third-rank spirit plant. In fact, it appeared more like a long, massive rock. However, the roots of the tree shone with blue-gold light, brimming with a rich vitality, revealing the tree's extraordinary nature. This is my third-rank spirit plant, the luminous treasure tree, which has been well preserved within a treasure of cave heaven, explained Lu Changxing. Although he knew the general appearance of the luminous treasure tree through the system space, seeing the actual tree in front of him, he still felt it was somewhat ugly. He thought to himself, wondering if Lu Miaoyun and the others, who would cultivate the heavenly longevity technique, might find it unappealing. The luminous treasure tree? A treasure of cave heaven? Ling Zixiao turned to glance at Lu Changxing, feeling an even deeper veil of mystery enveloping him. Not only did he possess such a precious and rare third-rank spirit plant, but he also had a legendary treasure of cave heaven that could directly store such spirit plants. Chapter 673, Family Great Formation Completed, Planting Trees. _4 She looked towards the luminous treasure tree, measuring it up and saying, "This is the first time your servant has seen such a lively third-rank spirit plant. This luminous treasure tree, every 30 years, will condense luminous sweet dew at its roots. This sweet dew, when used to wipe the eyes, can clear and brighten the vision, and also enhance spirit eye-related techniques and divine skills. Zi Shao, as an array master, you can use this sweet dew in the future to wipe your eyes," Lu Changxing said with a smile. In the midst of talking, he took out a magical sword and began to dig a large hole on the spot to plant the luminous treasure tree. Afterward, he took out several jars of spiritual liquid he had prepared earlier and watered the luminous treasure tree with it. Spiritual liquid to enhance spirit eye-related techniques? Ling Zixiao, upon hearing this, looked at the luminous treasure tree with a renewed interest. As an array master, she was already cultivating pupil techniques. If she could enhance the effectiveness of her pupil techniques, it would be of considerable help in battle, formations, and other areas. She said with a twinkle in her eye, "Then I must thank my lord. Between you and me, there's no need for thanks. However, this spiritual liquid will take 30 years to condense. We have quite a wait ahead of us," Lu Changxing said with a laugh. He then handed a jade slip to Ling Zixiao. "Zi Shao, take a look at this cultivation technique." This heavenly longevity technique, he had read many times, but he thought of teaching it to Lu Miaoyun and others, so he decided to let Ling Zixiao have a look as well. After all, through their long acquaintance, he had to admit that Ling Zixiao's comprehension was higher than his own. Heaven and Earth Longevity Technique? Upon seeing this cultivation technique, Ling Zixiao's beautiful eyes widened in surprise and she spoke to Lu Changxing, "My lord, are you preparing for someone to cultivate the Heaven and Earth Longevity Technique with this luminous treasure tree?" "Yes, Zi Shao, you know of this cultivation technique?" Lu Changxing, seeing that Ling Zixiao glanced briefly at the technique, was a bit surprised as he spoke. "Someone once traded me this cultivation technique for a set of formations, so I happen to know of it," Ling Zixiao nodded and said. "I see," Lu Changxing nodded upon hearing this. He had originally thought the effectiveness of this cultivation technique was quite rare, but it turned out that Ling Zixiao had a copy of it as well. He did not mind too much and spoke out, "Miaoyun, Huan, Jinjin, they all have average spiritual root talent, and it will be very difficult for them to achieve foundation establishment in the future. So, I've thought about having them practice this technique, so that in the future they might have the prospect of reaching foundation establishment and core formation." Lu Changxing took a deep breath and let it out gently, his tone reflective as he spoke. Upon obtaining the Heaven and Earth Longevity Technique, his first thought was of his wives and children at home. Even though he had been cultivating for many years and knew that, despite having a system, he could not lift everyone up, he would still follow his original intention and help as much as he could. Ling Zixiao was caught off guard by this sentiment. In the cultivation world, she had become accustomed to the warmth and coldness of human relationships and had experienced lots of deceit and manipulation. Lu Changxing was the most peculiar person she had encountered. Clearly a peerless talent with unmatched brilliance who, if he cultivated diligently, could expect to follow the great Tao. Yet, he lived like a mortal, surrounded by a bevy of wives and a house full of children, spending a lot of time on his family. She had seen cultivators like Lu Changxing before, surrounded by many wives. But such cultivators often regarded their wives as tools, playthings, or cauldrons. Never before had she seen someone like Lu Changxing, who treated each person so earnestly, full of optimism and human warmth. But now, Lu Changxing was even considering his wives' spiritual root talent, thinking of helping them to achieve foundation establishment and core formation. At this moment, she found herself at a loss for words to describe Lu Changxing. You could say he was foolishly devoted, but he had numerous wives. You could say he was heartless, yet he spent so much time on his wives and children. He even considered the future prospects of foundation establishment and core formation for his wives who had little hope of achieving such stages. Ling Zixio's emotions churned as she thought about how Lu Changxing had treated her. Even though she knew Lu Changxing's decision to become Dao partners with her was full of ulterior motives, after more than 3 years of genuine exchange of feelings, she indeed reciprocated with sincerity. My lord, who do you plan to have practice this heaven and earth longevity technique first? Ling Zixiao asked softly, looking at Lu Changxing. She had looked over the technique and knew that its practice required a heavenly and earthy spirit plant. And right now, Lu Changxing only had one such spirit plant. Miaoyun, he said. Miaoyun is actually of a weaker disposition, it's just that as the legitimate wife of the family, she has always been trying hard to fulfill her role. She is concerned about everything day to day because she feels pressured and lacks a sense of security. Over the years, the family has always been managed by Miaoyun, so I thought of giving her this luminous treasure tree for her to cultivate, to spare her the constant worry, Lu Changxing said with a slight sigh. There was only one spirit plant available at present, allowing only one person to practice. It was not an easy choice for him to make. But if he had to choose, after much consideration, he decided to give it to Lu Miaoyun. If Miaoyun has this luminous treasure tree and practices the heaven and earth longevity technique, it's not impossible for her to achieve foundation establishment, not to mention core formation, he said. Moreover, with this heaven and earth longevity technique, one can live up to 300 years upon reaching foundation establishment. With your talent, my lord, it seems likely you will achieve core formation within 100 years. Then, you can naturally elevate the spirit vein and cultivate this luminous treasure tree properly, making Miaoyun's prospects of reaching core formation hopeful. Ling Zixiao nodded and smiled as she spoke. The pace of practicing the heavenly longevity technique is related to the growth of the spirit plant. To make a third-rank spirit plant grow quickly, naturally, a third-rank spirit vein with abundant spiritual energy is needed. Yes, that's what I also thought, Lu Changxing nodded. Then he and Ling Zixiao left the formation, indicating that he had set up an array in the Lingtian district behind the cliff and that no member of the family should approach. Chapter 674, Family Great Formation Completed, Planting Trees. _5, yes, Mountain Master. Yes, Father. Upon hearing these words, everyone responded respectfully. After leaving Lingsui Cliff, Lu Changxing went to the Lu family mansion and found Lu Miaoyun. He took out a technique jade slip and said, Yuner, spend some time comprehending this cultivation technique. If there is anything you're puzzled about or don't understand, come and ask me and Zi Shao. Lu Changxing handed over the heavenly longevity technique to Lu Miaoyun and spoke out loud. A cultivation technique? Lu Miaoyun, upon hearing this, was somewhat surprised but still nodded and replied, yes, husband. Then she inspected the technique jade slip. After a moment, her face showed surprise, and in a daze, she said, husband, this cultivation technique, that's right, before venturing outside, I obtained a third-rank spirit plant, which I've planted on the cliff behind Lingsui Cliff. Once you've comprehended this technique, you can go to the back cliff and refine the spirit plant into a life-bound spiritual root. That way, you can attempt foundation establishment and even core formation in the future. Lu Changxing gently pinched his wife's fair and beautiful cheeks and said soothingly with a smile. Owing to Lu Miaoyun and others' consumption of beautifying elixirs, their appearance still looked like that of someone in their late 20s. A third-rank spirit plant. Lu Miaoyun bit her lip and said softly, husband, there's only one spirit plant at home. This technique could be given to Huanhuan's sister, or Jinjin, and Shiyu for their cultivation. I told you to cultivate it, so be obedient and focus on your cultivation. I will naturally have arrangements for Huan and Jinjin later on. Lu Changxing commanded, his tone leaving no room for doubt. All right, I'll listen to my husband. Lu Miaoyun, hearing this, showed a smiling face and responded obediently. That's the spirit. Lu Changxing kissed his wife's cheek and laughed. He thought about it and mentioned the matter to Lu Miaohuan and Chu Jinjin. After all, he believed in not the scarcity but the inequality of possessions. He felt it was better to explain proactively to avoid any unhappiness later on from his wife. Lu Miaohuan, when she heard this, had no objections. She had seen all that Lu Miaoyun had done over the years and greatly approved of her younger sister. Moreover, practicing the heavenly longevity technique meant not being able to stray too far from the spirit plant, making it impossible to leave by Lake Mountain. After the family stabilized, she still intended to visit the Jinyang sect in Yu country with Lu Changxing to see their son. As for Chu Jinjin, she was indifferent, believing it only natural for Lu Changxing to give the technique jade slip to Lu Miaoyun. Among the wives at home, she could say she was the most carefree, never competing for anything and always being pampered. After making this clear, Lu Changxing thought of the Mount Sumra Tree King in his system space. The Mount Sumra Tree King is a third-rank demon king. Hiding its aura won't be simple with ordinary formations. Given Zi Xiao's current condition, it's best not to set up a great formation just yet. I'll wait until I've refined the 9 treasure jade rui, improved Zi Xiao's health somewhat, and have the formations ready before releasing the Mount Sumra Tree King. After pondering for a moment, Lu Changxing made up his mind. Half a year later. Changxing Hall, within the closed-door cultivation cave. Boom, boom, boom. Lu Changxing's form was seated cross-legged, with a thunderous rumble resounding within him, emanating a surge of terrifying aura. This aura filled the entire cave, causing Lu Changxing's body to tremble slightly, as if a tiny boat in the ocean about to be capsized by the huge waves. Clang, 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 the mana and spiritual light surged and tumbled in Lu Changxing's chest, causing his face to show a look of pain. He was undergoing the final step of fusing the 9 treasure jade rui into his life-bound treasured bone. As the 9 treasure jade rui was about to transform into his life-bound treasured bone, Lu Changxing's ribcage seemed to be forged by countless divine craftsmen, resounding with sonorous sounds. Spiritual energy rushed wildly into his ribcage at that moment. Lu Changxing also extracted several spirit stones and elixir medicines, swallowing them to stimulate the fusion of the life-bound treasured bone. Boom! Time was indiscernible, but eventually, his chest suddenly grew hot, shining with dazzling brilliance, bursting forth with a terrifying fluctuation of aura. This terrifying force was felt by Shi Yu and Ling Zixiao inside Changxing Hall, and many people on Baiyun Peak sensed this aura at that moment as well. Huff, 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 above Changxing Hall, clouds and mist tumbled and surged, even forming a small vortex of spiritual energy in sync with the rise and fall of Lu Changxing's chest. What's happening with Changxing? Such a terrifying aura. Ling Zixiao and Shi Yu both looked towards Lu Changxing's closed-door cultivation cave, unsure of the situation inside. What's going on? A vortex of spiritual energy. Could it be that someone is attempting foundation establishment? I previously saw Lady Maiage's breakthrough to foundation establishment, which was clearly much larger than this. Who in our home is now capable of breaking through to foundation establishment? People on Baiyun Peak were all confused, not understanding the commotion happening at home. Lu Changxing was unaware of the disturbance he was causing. At the moment, his chest was heaving, and his life-bound treasured bone was gradually taking shape, shining like a bright sun, brilliantly luminous. As the divine power from the life-bound treasured bone ebbed and flowed, strands of 9-colored radiance moved through his body, making him acutely aware of a mysterious and profound power awakening within him. Above his ribcage, densely packed, complex, and mysterious runes emerged, like inscriptions from a heavenly book. This was divine skill. Innate divine ability. Energy refining cultivators and foundation establishment cultivators could only practice techniques. Only nascent soul immortals began to comprehend and master divine skills. And at this moment, with the aid of the 100 Refinements Treasure Body Art and the 9 Treasure Jade Rui, Lu Changxing, still in the foundation establishment stage, began to grasp divine skills. Not just any divine skills, but 9 great divine abilities. Chapter 675, 9 Treasures Rui Bone, Beast Calamity. _1 Boom. 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 Inside the seclusion chamber, Lu Changsheng's breastbone emitted light continuously, with tadpole-like symbols and bone inscriptions intertwining, deducing, and blooming. As the life-bound treasured bone took shape, Lu Changsheng's blood surged, and mana boiled and surged. Every inch of skin, every slice of flesh, bone, sinew, dantian, and even his Tao foundation seemed to be baptized. He sat cross-legged, his eyes tightly closed, his body enveloped in 9-colored radiant light, intense and boundless, feeling as if soaking in a hot spring, utterly comfortable, quietly experiencing the mystic baptism. Time passed, and at some point, the checkpoint of Lu Changsheng's 4th level of foundation establishment started to loosen. The 7 Luminaries' Great Freedom Sword scripture began to circulate, and the 7 Luminaries' sword chi seeped out through his body, swirling around him, sharp, domineering, and elegant. Whoosh! 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 Under the immense external spiritual pressure, copious amounts of nature's spiritual energy converged in his dantian, continuously being refined into liquid mana. Boom! When the liquid mana reached 400 drops, Lu Changsheng's cultivation straightforwardly broke through from the 4th to the 5th level of foundation establishment. I didn't expect that fusing with the life-bound treasured bone could also lead to a breakthrough in realm. No, it was because I fused the heavenly spiritual treasure into my life-bound treasured bone that my flesh, mana, and divine sense were all baptized and enhanced. If it weren't for my recent breakthrough to the 6th level of the 100 Refinements Treasure Body Art, I might have even broken through that as well. Lu Changsheng's face revealed a smile, his eyes fiery and profound as he murmured to himself. He could clearly feel that not only his cultivation realm had broken through, but his physical body and divine sense were all enhanced. The progress of the 100 Refinements Treasure Body Art had dramatically improved by a large margin. Meanwhile, his divine sense had nearly increased from the original 230 zhang to about 280 zhang. This level of divine sense was almost at the limit of the foundation establishment peak. Lu Changxing did not think further, closing his eyes again, quietly sensing the changes in the life-bound treasured bone in his chest. Time passed by. 3 days later, the divine light in Lu Changsheng's chest gradually retracted, and the brilliant light flowing through his body began to dim. 9 Treasure Jade Rui, since it's like this life-bound treasured bone shall be named the 9 Treasures Rui Bone. Lu Changxing opened his eyes, which were brilliant like stars, and lightly caressed the treasured bone in his chest, only feeling it brimming with a turbulent and surging power. Even he himself felt a bit apprehensive in the face of this terrifying power. 9 Treasures Rui, Essence, Qi, Spirit. Lu Changxing attempted to activate the 3 major divine abilities within the life-bound treasured bone. In an instant, the runes on his breastbone interwove, bursting forth with dazzling light. Inside Lu Changxing, his blood, mana, and divine sense roared like a tsunami. A 1-fold increase. A 2-fold increase. A 3-fold increase. An endless rush of intense vital energy exploded within Lu Changxing, his muscles bulging to almost another size, his bones cracking noisily. He seemed like a volcano erupting, his aura ascending step by step. Within his dantian, the 7 luminaries' mana flowed unrestrained like a breached river, filling the meridians and dantian, emitting a terrifying spiritual pressure, almost surpassing the peak of foundation establishment. At that moment, the profound origin bead within him also vibrated crazily, and the effect of its enhancement began to weaken continuously. 4-fold increase. 5-fold increase. As the 9 treasures Rui Bone continued to be activated, Lu Changsheng's body was enveloped in a radiance resembling a dazzling sun, dense runes emerging on his skin. Is this the power of divine skills? Lu Changxing marveled, feeling that at this moment, he was brimming with strength, invincible in the world. Not just his physical body and mana. His divine sense too, at this moment, was like a vast ocean, as if he could see everything at Baiyun Peak in a single glance. Yet he could distinctly feel that his physical body, meridians, dantian, and spirit were all under strain. He immediately stopped the divine abilities of the 9 treasures Rui Bone, and the surrounding spiritual pressure receded like a tide, leaving Lu Changxing feeling weak all over, hollow. With my current physical body and meridians capacity, under normal conditions, an increase by 2 or 3 times is about right. If the increase is too much, it will impose a burden on myself. If pushed to the limit for a while, I fear my body, meridians, and dantian might break. Lu Changxing took a deep breath and exhaled for a long duration. He realized that using the 9 treasures Rui Bone and its impacts were related to his physical body and the cultivation level of the 100 refinements treasure body technique. However, a 2 or 3 times increase is sufficient. In this state, with the profound origin beads enhancement still in effect, facing a false core should not be a problem. Plus, as long as the mana and divine sense are boosted, my proficiency in talisman formations will also rise to a new level. Lu Changsheng's mouth curved upward, revealing a smile. With the 9 treasures Rui Bone, he was confident in slaughtering those at Foundation establishment as easily as slaughtering chickens. To kill a false core immortal, that shouldn't be too difficult either. As for a nascent soul immortal, if he used all his methods, while he didn't claim he could slay one, he certainly had the power to fight. Looking at the 9 treasures Rui Bone in front of his chest, Lu Changsheng's spirit moved again. 9 treasures Rui, sealing. Lu Changxing activated the 7th divine ability of the 9 treasures Rui Bone, the sealing divine light, partially sealing his own physical body and mana. Instantly, dark golden light flowed over his breastbone, causing his entire body to look pale, his bones loose, and his muscles soft and flabby. The mana of the middle stage of Foundation establishment also regressed, falling to an unstable state of Foundation establishment. Hiss, this sensation is indeed uncomfortable. Even entertaining 10 women overnight doesn't feel this weak. After using the 9 treasures Rui Bone to seal part of his vitality and mana, Lu Changxing felt uneasy throughout his body. It was like after he had depleted his lifespan and origin source energy to heal Ling Zixiao, leaving his spirit wilted. But upon checking with his divine sense, it really didn't look like he had a body refined to the Foundation establishment middle stage. It seems this innate divine ability has something to it. Chapter 676, 9 Treasures Rui Bone, Beast Calamity. Although the sealing state can be lifted at any time, encountering a sudden and unforeseen killing intent would still pose danger. Lu Changxing realized the downside of the seal of banishment right away. If he sealed away all of his physical strength, he would be vulnerable to dangers and his defenses could easily be broken through. Or in a rush to activate a mana shield, he wouldn't be able to bring its power to the pinnacle instantly. Under normal circumstances, there's no need to maintain the seal. Moreover, the seal of banishment consumes mana. With a thought, Lu Changxing released himself from the state. He felt it was better to only seal himself when necessary, otherwise, it was indeed quite stifling to remain in that state continuously. After briefly experiencing the effects of the 9 treasures Rui Bone, Lu Changxing sat back down cross-legged, closed his eyes, and concentrated on consolidating his state. Half a month later, Lu Changxing stood up and stepped out of his cave dwelling. My lord. Changxing. Outside the cave, Ling Zixiao and Xiao Cs saw Lu Changxing emerge and immediately expressed their concern. Zixiao, Xiu, is there something wrong? Lu Changxing asked with some surprise upon seeing the 2 women waiting outside. My lord, previously there was quite a commotion, and I, together with Daoist Xiao, were worried that something unexpected might have happened, so we waited here, Ling Zixiao said with a pale and graceful face, smiling gently. As she spoke, she sized up Lu Changxing before her. Although there weren't any notable changes in Lu Changxing's appearance or aura, she could see that he was brimming with vitality, his eyes bright and spirited, clearly in excellent condition. Caused quite a commotion. At these words, Lu Changxing was taken aback, guessing it was due to him assimilating his life-bound treasured bone. That's right, Xiao Xia's voice was clear and captivating as she recounted the events of that day. You had us worried. I was practicing a divine skill, and just a few days ago, I finally mastered it, which is why there was a bit of a disturbance, Lu Changxing said with a light chuckle. He hadn't expected that assimilating his life-bound treasured bone would cause such a major disturbance. At the time, he was completely absorbed in the process and didn't realize the extent of the commotion. This made him think how convenient it was to be at home. If he were outside or on Qingzhou Mountain, causing such a commotion would not be easy to explain and could attract trouble. A divine skill. Ling Zixiao and Xiao Xia both displayed surprise and curiosity in their eyes upon hearing this. Spells are divided into primary, intermediate, and advanced levels. Above advanced spells are divine skills. Divine skills can only be cultivated and mastered by nascent soul immortals. Foundation establishment cultivators like them simply cannot practice divine skills. Unless one is extraordinarily gifted, born with innate divine skills. But such innate divine skills are exceedingly rare, countless times rarer than spiritual bodies. Moreover, they are more often encountered among demon beasts. Some demon beasts with noble bloodlines, once their cultivation matures, might awaken some kind of innate divine skill. At this moment, Lu Changsheng's claim to have cultivated a divine skill left the two women incredibly astonished. That's right, Zixiao, this divine skill has a healing effect. Come, let's see if it can help your meridians and dantian. Without elaborating further, Lu Changxing spoke to Ling Zixiao. He wanted to try using the fifth divine skill of the 9 treasures Rui Bone to treat Ling Zixiao. A healing effect? Upon hearing this, Ling Zixiao's heart trembled. She hadn't expected Lu Changsheng's first use of his cultivated divine skill to be for treating her meridians and dantian. This made her wonder if Lu Changxing cultivated this divine skill specifically for her. It wasn't that she was vain, but it was entirely in Lu Changsheng's character to do something like this, in her view. Besides, as far as she knew, most cultivators practiced offensive or protective divine skills, unless their cultivation technique included it, or they were a pharmacist or healer. Very few practiced healing technique or divine skills. After all, every technique or divine skill required time and energy to practice. And as a sword cultivator, Lu Changsheng's spontaneous cultivation of a healing divine skill truly made her think of this possibility to the exclusion of others. Come, Xiu, you take a look too. Lu Changsheng led the two women back into the cave, with Ling Zixiao lying down on a white jade soft bed. Zixiao, relax. Lu Changsheng looked at Ling Zixiao on the bed, her face graceful and figure voluptuously elegant, and spoke in a gentle tone. Then he took a deep breath, activated his life-bound treasured bone, and a dazzling and sacred light of life burst forth from his chest, enveloping Ling Zixiao. Ling Zixiao felt as if she was immersed in the fountain of life, her whole body tingling. Her withered and damaged meridians and dantian seemed to be nourished by the life force as if receiving sustenance from the womb. Cha! Seeing the results, Lu Changsheng pushed the 9 treasures Rui Bone to its limit. His chest radiated endless brilliant light, and one mysterious and magnificent rune after another emerged, interweaving and blooming, containing an indescribable secret force that entered Ling Zixiao's body. This, Xiao Xia, watching from the side, showed a look of astonishment on her strikingly beautiful face. Although she had never observed a divine skill up close, through the radiant spiritual light and mysterious, profound runes that seemed to contain the essence of the great Tao, she knew Lu Changsheng's divine skill was extraordinary. Lu Changsheng vigorously operated the 9 treasures Rui Bone, mana flowing like water from his body, furiously draining away. Moments later, most of his mana had been consumed, and he even began to feel a touch of exhaustion. The 5th divine skill of the 9 treasures Rui Bone refined the user's body into a divine medicine, consuming not only mana but also the origin energy. Under the healing divine light, Ling Zixiao's body was suffused with auspicious light, and visible to the naked eye, her pale face gained a bit more color. The treatment wasn't simply focusing on her meridians and dantian. It also nourished her body, blood, hidden injuries, and everything else in the process. Chapter 677, 9 Treasures Rui Bone, Beast Calamity. Phew. After half a quarter of an hour, Lu Chongqing had nearly depleted his mana, and he ceased using the 9 treasures Rui Bone. He exhaled fatigue. He looked at Ling Zixiao with concern and asked, "Zixiao, how do you feel?" "The congestion in my meridians and dantian has noticeably eased, and I feel much more relaxed and comfortable. At this rate, it's estimated that it will only take 3 to 5 years for the condition of my meridians and dantian to be resolved," said Ling Zixiao with a tender smile, pressing her lips together lightly. She had been severely injured before and was kept alive by Lu Maiage's Tai True Water. Even with the intervention from Lu Miaoge and Lu Chongqing, it was expected to take more than 10 years to fully recover. However, after Lu Changsheng's recent treatment, she felt an immediate improvement. She estimated that in just 3 to 5 years, she could restore her withered meridians and dantian and return to cultivation. Sitting up, she embraced Lu Chongqing with tenderness in her eyes and said softly, "Lu Lang, you have worked hard." "Huh, as long as it's effective, that's good," Lu Chongqing responded with a smile upon hearing her words. He had genuinely worried that the 9 treasures Rui Bone might not resolve the issues with Ling Zixiao's meridians and dantian. After all, problems with meridians and dantian have always been a major concern in the cultivation world. Suddenly, the 3 of them chatted idly about household matters, and Lu Chongqing inquired about Ling Zixiao's family's recent situation. Although he had not been in seclusion for half a year, he still had not left his retreat in the past few months. Ling Zixiao informed Lu Chongqing that there were no issues with her family, only that the Jing family and Su family had formed a marriage alliance not long ago, and her family had sent gifts over. However, a major incident had occurred in the Imperial Spirit Sect's domain. "What kind of major incident?" inquired Lu Chongqing, curious. "A beast calamity that occurs only once in 100 years erupted in the Imperial Spirit Sect, and it is rumored that a core formation ancestor perished during this calamity," Ling Zixiao disclosed. "A core formation ancestor perished?" Lu Chongqing exclaimed in surprise. The Imperial Spirit Sect was situated close to the Myriad Beasts mountain range, bordering Azure Phoenix Immortal City, and it served as a strategic point for fending off beast tides. These beast tides came every few years, or sometimes decades, and many cultivators would deliberately go to them. While dangerous, these tides represented a mix of risk and opportunity, offering the chance to hunt numerous rare demon beasts and even obtain second-rank special monster cores for crafting Foundation establishment elixirs. However, the fact that a beast tide resulted in the death of a core formation ancestor from the Imperial Spirit Sect was truly alarming. The Imperial Spirit Sect was renowned for beast taming, daring to establish marketplace strongholds at many junctions of the Myriad Beasts mountain range, and naturally had methods for dealing with demon beasts. But I'm not very clear about the specifics," Ling Zixiao added softly, shaking her head. "I've heard that it was a demonic path cultivator colluding with a demon king who set an ambush, which led to the death of the Imperial Spirit Sect's core formation ancestor," Xiao Xia chimed in. Although she was stationed at Bai Lake Mountain, she still had channels to information from the Qinyan sect. "Will this beast tide affect Azure Phoenix Immortal City?" Lu Chongqing asked. The boundaries of the Imperial Spirit Sect and Azure Phoenix Immortal City were adjacent, and given the severity of the beast tide, it could affect Azure Phoenix Immortal City, making him think of his friend Li Feiyu. 2 years ago, he had written to Li Feiyu but had not yet received a reply, which made him worry about his friend's situation. It's hard to say, but this beast tide might well be called a beast calamity, so it's very likely Azure Phoenix Immortal City will be impacted, Xiao Xia spoke softly. "My husband, what's wrong?" Ling Zixiao noted Lu Changsheng's concerned expression and asked. "Nothing much, I just have a good friend living in Azure Phoenix Immortal City," Lu Changsheng sighed lightly. "He makes his living by hunting demon beasts, so hearing about this event, I'm somewhat concerned for him," he continued. "Feiyu has grown up roaming the world and isn't the kind to recklessly risk his life." "He should be fine," Xiao Xie reassured him, knowing Lu Changsheng was referring to Li Feiyu. "I hope so," Lu Changsheng agreed, nodding. Over the years, because correspondence was inconvenient, he had only exchanged a few letters. Li Feiyu hadn't mentioned any worries and indicated that he was doing well. In fact, in the last letter, he mentioned he had broken through to the energy refinement late stage. But Lu Changxing could tell from this message that Li Feiyu must certainly have been risking his life, putting his head on the line to make such quick progress. Otherwise, how could he possibly have made such rapid advancement to the energy refinement late stage? Lu Changxing did not linger on this topic and shifted the conversation to other matters, asking about the spiritual body and whether the two women had heard of the flawless heavenly fragrance body. The flawless heavenly fragrance body? Both women shook their heads, indicating they had not heard of this spiritual body. Lu Changxing did not pursue the matter further. After a casual conversation, he left Changxing Hall and went to the Lu family mansion to spend time with his other wives and children. During this time, he took an interest in the progress of Lu Miaoyun's heavenly longevity technique. Lu Miaoyun had already comprehended the heavenly longevity technique. The next step was to wash the spirit plant daily with spiritual power and vital essence to establish a connection. Once connected, the spirit plant could be refined into a life-bound spiritual root, which would initiate cultivation. This process was somewhat similar to Lu Changsheng's own infusion with the life-bound treasured bone and was very time-consuming. Lu Miaoyun felt it would take a year or two to establish the connection. As for refining it into a life-bound spiritual root, she was not sure. Lu Changxing comforted her, advising her not to rush and to take things slowly. Subsequently, Lu Changxing also checked on Bai Ling's situation. Bai Ling estimated that she would be able to convert all her mana into the Black Dragon Codex within a month. Hearing this, Lu Changxing praised the young girl, and that evening, he rewarded her, Lu Miaoyun, Chu Zhenjin, and others for their efforts. Li Feiyu turned pale from the violent shaking, stumbled and struggled to stand firm. The elder beside him spit out a mouthful of blood even more so. Not only them, but all the energy refining cultivators on the wall were in dire straits, with only the foundation establishment cultivators barely managing to stabilize the situation. This. Another third-rank demon king. Why is this beast tide so terrible, producing two demon kings? The elder wiped the blood from the corner of his mouth and said with a pale face. No, there are three. Li Feiyu looked up at the sky with a grim expression and said. The elder followed Li Feiyu's gaze and immediately saw a huge purple thunderbird in the clouds. Three demon kings, could it be? Azure Phoenix Immortal City is about to fall. In the elder's eyes, despair emerged. Screech. Just then, within the Azure Phoenix Immortal City, a crisp and melodious screech sounded. Behold, rising from the Qingyuan Peak in the center of the Immortal City, a majestic and unrivaled cyan bird took off into the sky. Its wings extended, its feathers splendid, resplendent with flowing light, like a proud peacock, yet also like a noble phoenix, its body ablaze with cyan flames. A third-rank Qingyuan, its Azure Phoenix Immortal. Greetings to the city lord. This is the #1 loose cultivator of Jiang country, Azure Phoenix Immortal. I've been in Azure Phoenix Immortal City for 20 years, and it's my first time seeing the city lord. Azure Phoenix Immortal hasn't made a move in nearly 100 years, I wonder if she can repel these three demon kings. It's hard to say, that golden gigantic ape is a heavenly rank bloodline demon beast, the Diamond Ape King, and that purple thunderbird in the sky is also a heavenly rank demon beast, the Thundercloud Sparrow. In such circumstances, Azure Phoenix Immortal Steed, the Qingyuan, is a third-rank demon king, and with the 500 Azure Phoenix Dao soldiers, she's undoubtedly the most powerful below the nascent soul. She will surely be able to repel the three great demons. It is rumored that Azure Phoenix Immortal has not shown herself in recent years because she sustained severe injuries. She has been recuperating all these years. Inside the Azure Phoenix Immortal City, as everyone witnessed this scene, they were all stirred up, their voices a buzz of discussion as they focused their gazes on the cyan phoenix in the sky. Upon the cyan phoenix stood a tall, curvaceous woman clad in radiant cyan and gold armor. She was incredibly beautiful, seemingly in her 30s, with brows sharp as swords, eyes vast as the sun, moon, and stars, a nose as refined as a prominent mountain, and lips as curved as a crescent moon bow. Her entire face was strikingly defined, giving off an indescribable sense of sharpness, majesty, and authority, akin to a high and mighty female war deity, commanding involuntary submission and worship at her feet. However, her cold solemnity and majesty combined with her lofty and graceful stature hidden beneath the cyan and gold armor, brought a unique beauty that was truly exceptional. Especially her eyes, which shone like suns, moons, and stars, round and elongated with upturned corners like water droplets, they captivated the soul with an alluring chill. Seeing Azure Phoenix Immortal, countless people's hearts raced with nervousness, excitement, and adoration. For they were seeing a legendary figure. Azure Phoenix Immortal, rising from a background of a loose cultivator, with no backing, attained true elixir, challenged a cultivator in the core formation late stage while in the initial stage of core formation, became the #1 loose cultivator of Jiang country, and established the Azure Phoenix Immortal City as a sacred land for loose cultivators. For many cultivators, such a person was the stuff of legend. Chapter 679, Azure Phoenix Immortal, the 12 Capital Demon God Scripture. Kill. The Azure Phoenix Immortal, tall and slender in stature, summoned a green-gold long halberd in her hand, akin to a female war deity. She burst forth from the great formation, charging towards the Diamond Ape King. Her entire body shone with divine splendor, even her hair strands seemed to be tinged with a pale golden luster beneath her armor. Boom! The green-gold halberd slashed across, erupting with endless radiance, almost tearing the very fabric of the heavens and earth. Screech! The Azure Phoenix Immortal's third-rank Qing Yuan, perched beneath her, also shrieked, its wings unfurled as the winds howled and the hurricane swiftly arose, accompanied by waves of azure flames, targeting the Diamond Ape King. Roar! Facing this onslaught, the Diamond Ape King roared towards the heavens, its fur shining brilliantly like an indestructible glaze of Vajra, its fists, mountainous, hurtled towards the Azure Phoenix Immortal. From a distance, the third-rank Demon Kings, the Thundercloud Sparrow and the Iron-backed Kuei Bear, also joined the fray. Simultaneously, from within the Azure Phoenix Immortal City, orderly ranks of Luan birds ascended to the sky, covering it dome-like. Stationed above the Immortal City, they formed a mysterious array, impressively powerful, radiating an intimidating spiritual pressure that bore an indescribable oppression. Everyone, please remain calm. Our Azure Phoenix Immortal City has the absolute capability to ensure everyone's safety. Moving forward, please cooperate with our defense operations. In return for your contributions, early-stage Qi refinement practitioners will receive 1 battle merit daily, mid-stage practitioners will receive 3, and late-stage practitioners will get 10. At this time, the person in charge within the Azure Phoenix Immortal City spoke, their voice spreading throughout the entire city, urging all to lend their strength to the defense. By Lake Mountain, by Yun Peak. A simple and spacious alchemy room. Lu Changxing sat cross-legged on a cushion, watching the crimson flames flicker beneath the pill furnace. He could smell waves of fragrance wafting out from the furnace. Lu Changxing immediately struck the furnace with several spells, followed by a sweeping motion of his hand. The furnace lid blasted open. Hot waves tumbled and surged as a burst of light sprang forth from within the furnace. Lu Changxing instantly took a jade bottle in hand, capturing the radiance inside. Not bad, 18 pills in a single furnace run. He looked at the elixir medicines in the jade bottle, his face showing satisfaction. Soon after, Lu Changxing went to his own fish nursery, pinched a spell between his fingers, and 7 blackwater dragon fish and 5 blackwater dragon serpents rose to the surface of the water. Go! Lu Changxing fed the spirit-nurturing elixirs from the porcelain jar. Then, with another gesture of his hands, he alternately cast the spiritual light method and commanding generals and soldiers method over the 12 Dao soldiers, nurturing their innate spirit and dragon nature to accelerate their growth. After completing this series of tasks, Lu Changxing sighed, it's no wonder there are so few powers that breed Dao soldiers. This thing is not only expensive but also time-consuming. I find it troublesome with just 12. How do those powers manage to raise hundreds of them? Lu Changxing lamented as he gazed at the Dao soldiers in the lake. He planned to wait until Bai Ling broke through to the foundation establishment stage before letting Bai Ling raise the Blackwater Jiao Dragon Dao soldiers. Since she practiced the Black Dragon Codex, once she formed her Dragon King Dao Foundation, she would have an enhanced effect on nurturing aquatic species, especially the Blackwater Jiao Dragon Dao soldiers. After feeding his Dao soldiers, Lu Changxing took a quick tour of the fish nursery and then returned to the Lu family mansion to spend time with his wives and visit the son born by Xia Zhiyue. Even though the child benefited from Xia Zhiyue's spirit-nurturing physique, he possessed only a 5th-grade spiritual root. On this matter, Lu Changxing wasn't overly concerned. With the advancement of his spiritual root to 2nd grade, his pursuit of spiritual root potential had become much more indifferent. After all, whether it was 5th grade or 4th grade, they were almost the same, certainly not up to his own 2nd grade. After having lunch with his wives, Lu Changxing returned to Changxing Hall to heal Ling Zixiao with the 9 treasures Rui Bone. At that moment, a system notification echoed in Lu Changxing's mind. Congratulations to the host on the breakthrough of 30 descendants to Martial Dao Innate, earning a bloodline effect, increments in offspring propagation probability by 5%, plus 1 chance for a lucky draw. 30, huh? Upon hearing the system notification, Lu Changxing revealed a slight smile. After he finished treating Ling Zixiao, the two shared a tender moment before Lu Changxing made his way to his private cultivation cavern. Bloodline effect, plus 25% spiritual root probability, plus 20% offspring propagation. With such bloodline effects, it would be a pity not to have more children. Lu Changxing noted the effects listed under the bloodline section of his system panel, thinking to himself. Considering that he had only sired 8 children in the last 3 years, he felt he had been too sluggish. Currently, the family was still in a semi-seclusion state, with Ling Zixiao still recovering from serious injuries, and Xiao Xia stationed in by Lake Mountain. He couldn't very well go out philandering. Although White Jade Tower was an option, now was not a good time to visit. Still, there aren't many suitable maids left at home now. It's time to add a few more. Lu Changxing planned to visit White Jade Tower once things had stabilized at home and Ling Zixiao had mostly recovered. System, draw the lottery. After a moment of wishful thinking, Lu Changxing silently invoked the command in his mind. Suddenly, the system roulette emerged, gleaming with golden light. Ding! Congratulations to the host for obtaining the cultivation technique, 12 Capital Demon Spirit Art. The reward has been distributed to the system space. The host may check at any time. A radiant jade scroll pattern appeared, accompanied by the system notification sound. Another cultivation technique? And it's a demonic cultivation technique? Lu Changxing furrowed his brows as he saw the reward. He really didn't want to draw cultivation techniques from the lottery wheel anymore. Because he had so many cultivation techniques, drawing more had become impractical. The last lottery draw resulted in a cultivation technique, and this time, it was yet another cultivation technique. Moreover, by the name of it, it was a demonic cultivation technique. In Jiang country where he resided, an orthodox force strictly struck down on the demon path. Under such circumstances, he couldn't possibly cultivate an excellent demonic cultivation technique if given one. Lu Changxing looked at the cultivation technique inside the system space. Cultivation technique, 12 Capital Demon Spirit Art, grade, orthodox level, description, contemplate on the 12 capital demon spirits, gather demon thoughts, refine the body, mana, and spirit, and sacrifice to the 12 capital demon spirits. Contemplate on the 12 capital demon spirits, refining body, mana, and spirit? Lu Changxing's eyebrows twitched as he looked at the introduction of the cultivation technique in front of him. Currently, for his physical body, he had the 100 Refinements Treasure Body Art. For mana, he had the 7 Luminaries Great Freedom Sword Scripture. But for spirit and divine sense, he only had the Purple Mansion Nourishing Spirit Art given to him by Xiao Xia. Since the effects of this technique were average, Lu Changxing didn't cultivate it much. He had always wanted a more powerful spiritual cultivation technique that could give him a shortcut like the 100 Refinements treasure body technique. I wonder if this 12 capital demon spirit art contains such an advanced spiritual method. Lu Changxing looked at the cultivation technique within the system space, his mind slightly moved, and he activated it. Let's see if this cultivation technique could bring him some surprises. The next moment, the details, relevant content, and crucial points on how to practice the 12 capital demon spirit art surged into his mind like divine inspiration. The 12 capital demon spirit art is 1/3 chi refinement, 1/3 body refinement, and 4 parts spirit refinement. Once cultivated successfully, 12 demon spirits are refined within the body, each capable of reaching the same cultivation realm as the cultivator, and the 12 demon spirits can form the 12 capital demon evil formation, hiss. This cultivation technique is quite badass. Lu Changxing opened his eyes, digesting the cultivation technique in his mind. He couldn't help but marvel at the domineering power of this technique. It felt even more formidable than the 7 luminaries' great freedom sword scripture that he was practicing. It not only cultivated spirit, chi, and mana jointly, but also contained various formidable techniques and divine skills. For instance, contemplating the thoughts of heaven and earth demons, sacrificing 12 demon spirits. Once the 12 demons reach minor accomplishment, one could basically be invincible at the same rank. If the 12 demon spirits reach major accomplishment, fighting beyond one's realm is not an issue at all. There's also the life-bound magic treasure, the capital demon evil flag. Once the 72 demon evil flags are raised, they are in no way inferior to the 7 luminary star sword formation from the 3rd layer of the 7 luminaries' great freedom sword scripture. Beyond these main techniques, there are also capital demon flame, capital demon god dismantling technique, capital demon god blood ignition escape technique. Do demonic and heretical cultivation techniques usually come with more complementary techniques and divine skills? Lu Changxing pondered as he looked at the 12 capital demon spirit art. Of all the cultivation techniques he had obtained from the lottery, the one with the most included techniques was Yin-Yang Harmony technique. Next would be this 12 capital demon spirit art. Although each layer of his 7 luminaries' great freedom sword scripture had its unique effects and complementary cultivation techniques, comparatively, there were fewer. Sigh, but no matter how powerful, it's useless. I can't abandon the 7 luminaries to switch to cultivating this demonic technique. I can only wait till I reach nascent soul stage, then see which family member has the talent for the demon path, and pass this technique on. For now, the useful parts of this cultivation technique for me are the demon god contemplation technique, the mental cultivation method, and the 2 techniques for escaping danger when one's life is threatened, the capital demon god dismantling technique and capital demon god blood ignition escape technique. Lu Changxing shook his head slightly and sighed, somewhat disappointed. He felt this cultivation technique will just gather dust. Chapter 680, Looking Back After 25 Years Part 1. A month later. Qingyun Sect. On the misty white jade square filled with celestial aura, hundreds of young men and women left with heavy hearts and low spirits. Yunlu, Xingyue, remember to cultivate diligently within Qingyun's sect and feel free to send a message home if anything comes up. You can also seek help from your uncles Han and Zhao, and your auntie Zhao. Lu Changxing spoke to his children before him. Today marked the once every 5 years Immortal Sect's exam of Qingyun sect. Since Hong Yi had sent his son, Hong Xuanji, to participate in the Immortal Sect's exam at Qingyun sect, Lu Changxing thought it over and decided to have several of his children take the exam as well. After all, cultivating at an Immortal Sect and learning skills in many aspects was indeed better than at home. Moreover, Qingyun's sect wasn't far from home. Sending the children there meant they would not only receive the family's training but also that of the sect. However, only those under 18 could participate in the Qingyun sect exam, so naturally, Lu Pingan, Lu Yun, and Lu Chuanjin couldn't take part. Hence, out of the 8 children he chose to send for the Immortal Sect's discipleship exam, only his son Lu Yunlu and daughter Lu Xingyue, both with 6th grade spiritual roots, passed the assessment. The other 6 children, along with Hong Xuanji, failed to make it through the exam. Through connections, Lu Changxing also had a rough understanding of Qin Yun sect's criteria for accepting disciples. Spiritual root, perseverance, comprehension, Tao heart. The assessment was based on these 4 areas. But there was another unspoken criterion, age. Like Hong Xuanji with a 7th grade spiritual root, performed well in all 3 aspects of the exam but was disqualified because he was 18 years old. Brother-in-law, rest assured, I will take good care of Yunlu and Xingyue, said a good-looking young man in his late 20s, standing tall and wearing the Qin Yun sect disciple's magical robe, next to him. It was Xia Zizhu's brother, Xia Zhaoyang. With a 4th grade spiritual root, he was doing quite well in Qin Yun sect, with a cultivation level of 8th level energy refinement, and he had hopes to reach foundation establishment in the future. Alright, in that case, I'm counting on you to look after Yunlu and Xingyue, Lu Changxing said to his brother-in-law with a nod and a smile. He hadn't interacted much with Xia Zhaoyang, only conversing a few times. However, his impression of the man was decent, not one of heartlessness or unfaithfulness. After giving his instructions, Lu Changxing walked down from the white jade square, leaving with the 6 children who had been eliminated and Hong Xuanji. Xingyue, Yunlu, although you've passed the exam, you are only outer disciples. Besides cultivation, you need to choose a skill to learn. Which skill do you plan to study? Xia Zhaoyang asked, turning to the 2 nieces and nephews. However, the look he gave Lu Xingyue was noticeably more affectionate. He had been cared for by his sister Xia Zizhu since he was a child. Over the years at Qin Yun sect, Xia Zizhu often sent him a portion of her own cultivation resources and accumulated spirit stones. Thus, he always kept this familial love in his heart. Father said I can choose medicine, Lu Xingyue replied crisply. Although she had met this uncle several times, she still wasn't very familiar with him, and her voice held a hint of estrangement. Father told me to choose artifact refining, Lu Yunlu said. Good, I'll take you there, Xia Zhaoyang said, nodding his head and leading them away. Even though Qin Yun sect had uniform arrangements, as a disciple of Qin Yun sect, he knew some of the ins and outs. For instance, if the sect knew someone had a family member there, they were typically escorted by that member, which meant the outer disciples in charge might show a little more care and attention. At the entrance of Qin Yun sect, many young men and women who failed to pass the exam left with sorrowful and disappointed expressions, some even crying out loud. Under such circumstances, Lu Changsheng's other 6 children were also downcast, pressing their lips tightly together. Seeing this scene, Lu Changsheng couldn't help but reminisce about his own feelings upon learning that he had been rejected by Qin Yun sect 25 years ago. He patted his children's heads and said with an air of calm, "It's all right if you didn't pass. I wanted you to gain some experience by bringing you here. Xuanji, you shouldn't take it too hard either." Lu Changxing didn't feel too strongly about the children's failure to pass because he had anticipated it, and he also maintained an indifferent attitude about it. They walked out of the mountain gate, where Hong Yi was eagerly waiting outside. His face immediately fell upon seeing Lu Changxing and his son exiting. He had high hopes for his son, Hong Xuanji, wanting him to join an immortal sect and surpass himself. But now, seeing his son walk out of the gate, he knew the boy hadn't passed the exam. Brother Lu, Xuanji, Hong Yi greeted Lu Changxing with a hand-over-fist salute. Xuanji did well in several areas of the exam, but he was disqualified because he's a little too old, Lu Changxing explained to Hong Yi. Father, I have let you down, Hong Xuanji said, slightly bowing his head to his father. He knew how much his father wished for him to be accepted into Qin Yun sect. Ah, it's okay, Hong Yi sighed deeply, patted his son's shoulder, and didn't say much more. Many others, like Hong Yi, showed sadness and disappointment when they saw their children or younger family members walking out of the gate. Most of them, being loose cultivators, understood the hardship of such a path and wished for their offspring to be admitted into an immortal sect. Brother Hong, Xuanji is quite talented and intelligent, and he will not fare poorly in the future even if he hasn't joined an immortal sect. We ourselves were once rejected by Qin Yun sect as well, weren't we? Lu Changxing said to comfort him. If Xuanji's future turns out a bit like mine, that would be decent, but it's audacious to compare him with you, Brother Lu, Hong Yi said, with a bitter smile on his face. Then, turning to Lu Changxing, he said with a hand-over-fist salute, Brother Lu, I have an audacious request. Haha, Brother Hong, just speak freely, Lu Changxing laughed lightly and replied, guessing somewhat what Hong Yi was about to ask. I was hoping, Brother Lu, that you could let Xuanji continue to work at Bai Lake Mountain. There were cultivator families and forces here to recruit people. At that moment, he couldn't help but recall the sunset on this mountain path 25 years ago when he walked the same route. Back then, Lu Yuanding came forward to recruit sons-in-law, just like these people. But hearing the demands of these few families, Lu Changxing couldn't help but sigh that it was damn exploitative. It must have been 5 years ago that the Qingyun sect retaliated against the Xiahou clan and the events of the Demon Path, leading to frequent occurrences of robber cultivators, causing many families to suffer losses, Hong Yi said upon seeing this scene. Rui Marquis Mansion, being a bottom-tier power in the cultivation world, was fairly knowledgeable about such matters. I see. Lu Changxing nodded slightly upon hearing this explanation. Greetings, brother-in-law. Just then, a man in his 30s dressed in a blue robe saw Lu Changxing and came forward to greet him with a bow. Miaochuan, you're here too. Lu Changxing recognized the person, an offspring from the legitimate line of the Lu family of Qingzhou Mountain. I am here, brother-in-law, at the direction of the family head to recruit some immortal seedlings to take back. Lu Miaochuan replied respectfully. I see, I too just happened to bring a few kids over for the assessment, said Lu Changxing. He was aware of the current situation at Qingzhou Mountain. The older generation was either deceased or aged. Today, the family was in dire need of senior cultivators skilled in energy refinement late stage. Now that the family's situation had improved, there was naturally a need to supplement with new blood. Upon reflection, he thought that he could also recruit some immortal seedlings. Most of these young men and women were immortal seedlings found by the secular branches of the Qingyun sect, many of whom had not yet embarked on the path of cultivation. If signed to serve as apprentices, the cost-performance ratio was indeed good. Moreover, these young men and women were of suitable age for marriage. In due time, if things went well with his own children, a few good matches could be made. After pondering for a moment, Lu Changxing infused mana into his voice and said, Young friends, I of the Blue Lake Mountain Lu family am recruiting apprentices and menials. We not only provide access to spiritual vein dojos and cultivation manuals but also offer wages and 5 guarantees. Blue Lake Mountain Lu family, could this senior be the mountain master of Blue Lake Mountain, Lu Changxing? I, Zhao Yanzhu of White Tiger Mountain, pay my respects to Elder Lu. Greetings, Master Lu. Greetings, Senior Lu. As soon as Lu Changxing spoke, many loose cultivators and several major family forces recognized him. Immediately, many of them paid their respects to Lu Changxing. Currently, in the Qingyun region, Lu Changxing's reputation within the surroundings of Blue Lake Mountain was significant. Second-rank talisman master. A single individual slaying 3 foundation establishment powers. The Lu family suppressing the Xiahou money. Each of these events had made Lu Changxing's name known to many families, loose cultivators, and powers. They had not expected such an illustrious figure to personally visit the Qingyun sect today and recruit apprentices on this spot. Blue Lake Mountain Master Lu Changxing, I've heard his story. Once eliminated by the Qingyun sect, he chose to become a son-in-law in a cultivator family. Now he became a foundation establishment great cultivator and established Blue Lake Mountain. Although Blue Lake Mountain was recently established, its master, Lu Changxing, being a foundation establishment great cultivator, managed to slay 3 great cultivators when he founded the mountain. In his prime with an array master at home, this senior Lu seems to be a good person at first glance. Yes, this senior Lu really does look like an immortal. I wonder if this senior Lu would take maids or maidservants. To start from humble beginnings is not a shame, true manhood lies in the ability to bend and stretch. Elder Lu will be my goal from now on. If I were to join the Blue Lake Mountain Lu family, perhaps I could rise like Elder Lu did. Chapter 682, 25-Year Retrospective. Excuse me, Senior Lu, may I ask what is the difference between the menial workers and apprentices that your family is recruiting? Many immortal seedlings were discussing animatedly, and someone raised the question. Having been eliminated by the Qingyun sect, their prospects for cultivation were extremely challenging. Most could only become loose cultivators or serve as domestic servants to certain family powers to acquire cultivation techniques and train in the cultivating arts. Now, at Blue Lake Mountain, Lu Changsheng's reputation suddenly made many people excited. Even though many had not heard of the name Lu Changsheng of Blue Lake Mountain before. But seeing so many people bowing respectfully to Lu Changsheng at the event, they knew that Blue Lake Mountain was not ordinary. Regarding menial workers and apprentices, the first 3 years are the cultivation phase, during which my Blue Lake Mountain will provide you with cultivation techniques and distribute a certain amount of spirit rice and 2 spirit stones every month. If during these 3 years, you show talent in talisman making, alchemy, artifact refining, wine brewing, puppetry, beast taming, spirit plant cultivation, spirit slaughterer or other skills, you may become an apprentice of the Lu family and enjoy superior treatment. The specific benefits will be determined based on your performance. If you do not have a talent for any skills, you can only become a menial worker, following the Lu family's arrangements, working for Blue Lake Mountain for 10 years to repay the cultivation costs of the first 3 years. As for the 5 major protections I mentioned, they are condolence, medical care, childbirth, housing, and elder care. If you are injured or have an accident while studying or working at Blue Lake Mountain, the Lu family will provide a certain amount of condolence money. The same goes for illness. As long as it's at Blue Lake Mountain, the Lu family will offer free treatment. If you work at Blue Lake Mountain for 20 years, you can settle there and enjoy childbirth subsidies and elder care, Lu Changsheng stated. Senior Lu, this humble one wishes to sign up. I, too, want to sign up, son, hurry and sign up. Even if you end up as a menial worker, you can at least cultivate. Upon hearing this, the scene buzzed with excitement, many people expressing their desire to sign up. It was not that the conditions Lu Changsheng offered were especially appealing. It was merely that Lu Changsheng's appearance and demeanor instilled an instinctive trust and affinity in people. Moreover, the name of Blue Lake Mountain sounded much better than the offer from several other family powers a while ago. So many people? Lu Changsheng was slightly astonished to see so many people wanting to sign up. He had only had a sudden inspiration and thought to recruit some people to take back with him. He didn't expect it to be so popular. Brother Lu, leave this matter to me. Seeing this, Hong Yi beside him immediately took out a small wooden table from his storage bag and had everyone line up. He then registered and inquired about each person's spiritual root, family, and age. When recruiting apprentices, those from wealthy families with good conditions were naturally excluded first. However, Hong Yi seemed to guess what Lu Changsheng was thinking and relaxed the conditions slightly for good-looking young girls. An hour and a half later, with Hong Yi's help, Lu Changsheng selected 30 immortal seedlings. 15 young men and 15 young women. Because there were many applicants, these 30 had relatively good conditions. Among them was a young man with a 6th grade spiritual root. Lu Changsheng thought to himself that if these people were indeed worthy of being cultivated after taking them back, he could make the trip every 5 years. My Blue Lake Mountain is currently only recruiting 30 people. If you are interested, you can go to the Lu family of Qingzhou Mountain. Looking at the young men and women in front of him who looked disappointed, Lu Changsheng spoke out. He was also using his own reputation to advertise for Qingzhou Mountain. Thank you, brother-in-law. Upon hearing this, Lu Miaochuan quickly made a bowing gesture to Lu Changsheng. Brother Hong, I will need your help for this trip. Lu Changsheng addressed Hong Yi as he looked at the group of young men and women. In his storage bag, he had 3 spirit boats, but one person couldn't pilot multiple boats. Still, 2 spirit boats weren't enough to carry so many people. Lu Changxing assessed the situation around him and asked a loose cultivator in the energy refinement late stage to pilot a spirit boat for him. He then took the 30 young men and women away on the spirit boats. Riding horses? Shouldn't we be boarding spirit boats? Shortly afterward, other families who had also recruited people released spirit steeds, preparing to take the immortal seedlings back with them. Seeing that Lu Changxing had just left by piloting a spirit boat while they were to ride horses, the immortal seedlings of this family felt a sudden shock as if experiencing a letdown. Ahem, these are not ordinary horses, these are spirit steeds of the cultivation world, capable of traveling thousands of miles in a day, the head of this family explained. They were helpless, after all, piloting a spirit boat required an individual at the energy refinement late stage. Moreover, it was not feasible for their family to deploy multiple spirit boats all at once. Though the immortal seedlings were reluctant, they had no choice but to accept the situation, feeling envious of those who had joined Blue Lake Mountain. 8 days later, 3 spirit boats descended outside of Blue Lake Mountain. Father. Lu Yun, who was on duty at the mountain gate, immediately shouted upon seeing his father returning. Lu Changxing nodded, handing out a middle-grade spirit stone to the loose cultivator who had helped. Thank you for your trouble, friend. Senior Lu, you're too kind, too kind. The loose cultivator replied with a beaming smile as he accepted the spirit stone. This is the Blue Lake Mountain Lu family. Lu Changxing then led the 30 young men and women through the mountain gate, speaking out loud. He then sent a message to Xiao Qing, explaining the situation of these people, and instructed her to arrange all the young men and women at Lakeheart Villa. In the blink of an eye, half a month passed. The recruitment of 30 immortal seedlings had no significant impact or change on the Lu family. After all, the monthly expenses of 30 immortal seedlings did not exceed 100 spirit stones. Chapter 683, Looking Back After 25 Years Part 4. This day marked the annual family clan meeting of the Lu family. This year, the Lu family was still in a state of loss. However, compared to the previous year, the situation had relatively improved a lot. Faced with this situation, Lu Changxing didn't say much. He simply stated that they should keep up the effort, and if there were any children in the family who had ideas about marriage, taking a wife, or concubinage, they could bring it up actively and let the clan arrange it. After all, on Bai Lake Mountain's side, only his son Lu Xianji was married, which truly worried him as an elderly father. Changxing, the internal organ issues of your uncle have improved quite a lot under my treatment with Tai True Water. If you have some free time, you could try to help your great-uncle remove the corpse poison. After the family clan meeting concluded, Lu Miaoge said softly to Lu Changxing. Previously, Lu Changxing had said that once she had managed Lu Yuanzhong's internal organ issues more or less, he could attempt to use sword qi to drive out the poison. Alright, I'll go with you in a few days. Upon hearing this, Lu Changxing held Lu Miaoge's hand and spoke warmly. The 3 of them returned to Changxing Hall, where Lu Miaoge typically used Tai True Water to nourish and heal Ling Zixio's meridians and dantian. Looking at the beautiful and gentle Lu Miaoge in front of him, Lu Changxing felt he needed to refine the foundation establishment elixir as soon as possible. Over 2 years had passed, with Lu Miaoge constantly running back and forth between Qingzhou Mountain and Bai Lake Mountain. Normally, she would also need to oversee the Red Leaf Valley Market, which kept her extraordinarily busy. Now that he had gathered almost all the auxiliary materials for the foundation establishment elixir, only 2 more medicinal ingredients were left. Thinking of refining the foundation establishment elixir as soon as possible and giving one to the Lu family of Qingzhou Mountain, just as long as there was someone from Qingzhou Mountain who made a breakthrough and a new foundation building great cultivator was born, Lu Miaoge wouldn't have to be so busy, and she could cultivate peacefully on Bai Lake Mountain, with the effect of the Tai Dao seed. Lu Miaoge's cultivation speed was not at all inferior to those with high-grade spiritual roots. Yet because she was busy and constantly healing Lu Yuanzhong and Ling Zixiao, her own cultivation had been delayed. 3 days later. After informing Xiao Xie and Ling Zixiao, Lu Changxing went with Lu Miaoge to Qingzhou Mountain to help Lu Yuanzhong eliminate the corpse poison. Considering that Lu Miaoyun and Lu Miaohuan had also not returned for quite a long time, he took both women with him, as well as his son Lu Yun, Lu Qingsong, and others to go together. Changsheng, Miaoge, you've come. Learning of Lu Changsheng's arrival, people like Lu Yuanzhong and Lu Yuanding came out to welcome them. Father-in-law, uncle, Lu Changsheng greeted the newcomers cheerfully. After a simple catch-up, Lu Changsheng checked Lu Yuanzhong's condition. Under Lu Maiage's application of Tai True Water, Lu Yuanzhong's organs, which had been corrupted by the corpse poison, regained vitality. But the issue of the corpse poison in the organs still hadn't been resolved, clinging to the organs like a persistent illness. Ancestor, although I am somewhat confident in driving out the poison, now that the corpse poison has integrated with your organs, it might be hard to completely eradicate it. If the detox goes too deep, it could also harm your organs, Lu Changsheng said after pondering for a moment. Changsheng, just do as you see fit, Lu Yuanzhong said. With the strength and methods Lu Changsheng had shown and the changes in Lu Miaoge, he had utmost faith in Lu Changsheng. All right, Lu Changsheng nodded, asking Lu Yuanzhong to lie down. He placed his palm on the man's chest and began to drive out the corpse poison with the 7 luminary sword qi. Such a domineering and fierce sword qi. Lu Yuanzhong's expression shifted slightly, revealing a look of shock in his eyes. Through the 7 luminary sword qi, he instantly felt that Lu Changsheng's mana was overwhelmingly powerful and domineering, even more so than Lu Maiage's mana. He marveled internally at what cultivation technique Lu Changsheng practiced to possess such tyrannical mana and sword qi. Had it not been for this treatment, he truly wouldn't have known the extent of Lu Changsheng's combat power, thinking that Lu Changsheng's true skills lay in talismans. Now, it seemed, Lu Changsheng hadn't fully wielded his power against the 3 foundation establishment cultivators from the Yu family back then. Sister Miaoge, use Tai True Water to protect uncle's meridians. Lu Changsheng carefully removed some of the residual corpse poison from Lu Yuanzhong's organs with the 7 luminary sword qi, but the corpse poison had lingered for years, like a disease in the bone, quite troublesome to handle. If the sword qi was too fierce, it could easily harm Lu Yuanzhong. All right. Upon hearing this, Lu Miaoge immediately circulated her mana, her palms radiating blue halos, enveloping Lu Yuanzhong's organs with condensed Tai True Water. In this manner, the two of them worked together to drive the poison out of Lu Yuanzhong. Yet Lu Yuanzhong's condition was indeed troublesome. Even Lu Changsheng dared only to remove some surface remnants of the corpse poison, unable to thoroughly cleanse the deep-seated poison. Uncle, you should focus on recuperating for a few days. When the situation improves a bit more, I will try to drive the poison out further. An hour later, Lu Changsheng withdrew his hand, exhaling deeply, and spoke to Lu Yuanzhong. His 7 luminary sword qi detox, while effective, was somewhat akin to a painful remedy, with a risk of damaging the organs. Changsheng, Miaoge, thank you for your hard work, Lu Yuanzhong said solemnly. After the battle at Blackwater Pool, he thought his life wouldn't last much longer, but now, the Lu family not only gained Lu Miaoge, a foundation establishment great cultivator, but together, they were also able to address his corpse poison. In his view, even if they could not fully eradicate it, living a few more decades was worth it. Uncle, you're being too polite, Lu Changsheng said with a smile. He and Lu Miaoge decided to stay at Qingzhou Mountain temporarily, doing their best to address Lu Yuanzhong's condition. This is especially true for demon cultivators, for whom the heart demon tribulation and nascent soul heavenly tribulation become even more potent when breaking through to nascent soul. Therefore, this seemingly minor effect is seen as incredibly precious in the eyes of Nangong Mili. After all, her daughter has a top-level spiritual body, her spiritual root is bound to be exceptional. With such talent, she was confident she could nurture her daughter step by step to core formation. After achieving core formation, the remaining journey would depend on her daughter's own efforts. And after core formation, the flawless heavenly fragrance bodes subtle favor from the heavens and earth, which slightly weakens the nascent soul heavenly tribulation, becomes extremely important. At that moment, the baby inside the five-colored jade cauldron began to open her big eyes, slightly dazed. Upon seeing Nangong Mili, she immediately called out in a milky voice, "Mommy." Her voice was youthful and her pronunciation unclear. She stretched out a pair of pudgy little hands and called out to Nangong Mili, "Mommy, hug." Yao Yao. Nangong Mili immediately picked up her daughter with a face full of doting love. Though only a year old, the child's body, different from ordinary infants, was climbing over Nangong Mili's body like a monkey, very mischievous. "Master." While the mother and daughter were having fun, a voice came from outside the grand hall. "What's the matter?" Nangong Mili asked. "The sect hierarch asks that you visit her once you come out of seclusion." Meng Xiaochan spoke with these words. The sect hierarch. Nangong Mili's phoenix eyes narrowed slightly, then she walked out of the grand hall, holding Yao Yao in her arms. "Xiaochan, help me look after Yao Yao." Nangong Mili didn't hide the news about her daughter Nangong Yao Yao. But to outsiders, she claimed she was a daughter she had found and adopted. "Come on, Yao Yao, let sister give you a hug." Meng Xiaochan was dressed in a lavender gown, her appearance delicate. Because of her cultivation of the myriad poisons devouring heart technique, her originally ethereal aura had gained a touch of dreamlike, enchanting haziness. "Sister," the little girl wasn't shy at all. After embracing Meng Xiaochan, she smacked her lips, bit Meng Xiaocan's flawless cheek leaving behind some drool, and then giggled. "You mischievous little thing." Watching this, Nangong Mili's stunning face showed not a hint of seductiveness, only indulgence. She then gave Meng Xiaochan a few more instructions before transforming into a rainbow of light and departing. Fragrant. Nangong Yao Yao, lying in Meng Xiaocan's arms, smacked her lips twice more, her voice muffled as she mumbled. "Yao Yao is also fragrant." Meng Xiaochan replied with a doting smile, kissing the little girl's sweet and tender cheek twice. She could clearly smell the fragrant scent emanating from Nangong Yao Yao's body. This lovely aroma reminded her of Lu Changxing every time she smelled it, for when she was near him, he exuded a spring-like fragrance that drew people in and made them feel comfortable and close. The scent of Nangong Yao Yao now gave her the same feeling. Lu Lang must know that master is pregnant with Yao Yao. Meng Xiaochan gazed at the little treasure cradled in her arms and drifted into thought. Even though Nangong Mili said Yao Yao was a daughter she had picked up and adopted, Meng Xiaochan, being Nangong Mili's disciple, guessed upon seeing the baby that she was her master and Lu Changsheng's child. After all, those eyebrows, eyes, nose, and mouth were strikingly similar to her master's, and she could clearly see Lu Changsheng's shadow in them. Besides, seeing this child resolved many doubts that she had held in her heart before. The change in Lu Changsheng's attitude towards her master, the words he said when they parted, telling her to take good care of her master, and the change in her master's demeanor when taking her across the border. However, Meng Xiaochan still felt a bit conflicted about the child. On one hand, her master had a child with her lover, and on the other, her master clearly knew about the Lockhart goo. Chapter 685, Can Weaken the Heavenly Tribulation, Teaching the 100 Refinements Treasure Body Technique. She was worried that after giving birth to Nangong Yao Yao, the master might be affected by the Lockhart goo. After all, with her understanding of the master's character, upon learning about the Lockhart goo, she probably felt a strong aversion to Lu Changxing. Once the Lockhart goo was removed, she might go and cause trouble for Lu Changxing. At that time, Nangong Mili's attitude towards the child Nangong Yao Yao might also change. Qingzhou Mountain. Inside a cave abode. Lu Changxing and Lu Miaoge were removing the corpse poison from Lu Yuanzhong. "Sister Miaoge, that's enough," Lu Changxing said to Lu Miaoge, whose forehead was covered with a layer of fine sweat. He then retracted his hand and turned to Lu Yuanzhong. "Uncle, I have now removed the corpse poison that entangled your viscera. The remainder, which has infiltrated deeply, I cannot remove." After half a month of detoxification, he had removed most of the corpse poison from Lu Yuanzhong. Some of the remaining poison had entered deeply into the viscera over the years and could not be fully removed. To have come this far, I am already very content. Changsheng, Miaoge, you have worked hard. Lu Yuanzhong sat up and thanked Lu Changsheng and Lu Miaoge. As the corpse poison was mostly eliminated, he felt a weight lifted off his body. Although he was not as strong as at his peak, living another 100 years without exerting himself shouldn't be difficult. The only problem was the likelihood of his cultivation level breaking through to the middle stage of foundation establishment, which seemed hopeless. Due to the problem with his viscera, it was akin to having damaged the foundation. Uncle, you are too polite. Lu Changsheng said. He then took out 2 jade slips from his storage bag. Uncle, I heard that there are only a few advanced level cultivation techniques in the family. I had some fortuitous encounters before and obtained 2 exquisite level cultivation methods, which you can take. Lu Changsheng took out Purple True Solar Scripture and Greenwood Flames Solar Method, 2 exquisite level cultivation methods, and handed them to Lu Yuanzhong. Over the past 2 years, he had taught the children in his family these 2 cultivation techniques, as well as the 7 luminaries that he had broken down. Thinking about the few cultivation techniques the Lu family had at its foundation, which were only advanced level, Lu Changsheng thought about sharing these 2 as well. Not to mention the close relationship with Lu Miaoge, Lu Miaohuan, and Lu Miaoyun. In these 2 years, Qingzhou Mountain had been helping his own family with both manpower and effort, so he was willing to provide support. Exquisite level cultivation methods. Lu Yuanzhong showed a look of surprise when he heard this. Although he knew that Lu Changsheng had great opportunities that included an extraordinary inheritance, he didn't expect Lu Changsheng to casually offer him 2 exquisite level cultivation methods. One must know that the inheritance of cultivation techniques in the cultivation world is incredibly rare, with few willing to divulge them to outsiders. Otherwise, Qingzhou Mountain wouldn't have had only 4 high-grade cultivation techniques after centuries of legacy. Changsheng, this really isn't right. Lu Yuanzhong, while greedy, was somewhat embarrassed to accept them. After all, these 2 cultivation methods were valuable enough to serve as Qingzhou Mountain's treasured family techniques. Uncle, we are all family, there's no need to be polite. Lu Changsheng glanced at Lu Miaoge and said with a light smile. Uncle, this is Changsheng's heartfelt gift, please accept it. Moreover, these cultivation techniques are meant to be practiced by our own family members. Lu Miaoge whispered softly, her lips slightly pursed. Since this is the case, I will accept them. Rest assured, Changsheng, our Lu family will definitely not reveal these techniques carelessly. Lu Yuanzhong took a deep breath and nodded emphatically. I am naturally at ease about that. Lu Changsheng laughed and said a few more words before leaving the cave abode with Lu Miaoge. Old ancestor, you were right. Lu Changsheng is a young man blessed with tremendous fortune. After Lu Changsheng and Lu Miaoge had left, Lu Yuanzhong, holding the 2 technique jade slips, became lost in thought and murmured to himself. He remembered the instructions of his own ancestor before passing away, stating that Lu Changsheng was a person of great fortune and noble character, and that it would be beneficial for his family to treat him well, as he might be able to help them in the future. In his view, Lu Changsheng's achievements now far exceeded what his own ancestor had anticipated. Even if his ancestor were alive, he could not have imagined that in a mere decade or so, Lu Changsheng would break through to foundation establishment and establish his own family. And that he could casually give away 2 exquisite level cultivation methods to his family. However, the closer the 2 families are, the more careful we must be. We must make clear distinctions in certain matters. Only then can the 2 families avoid misunderstandings. Otherwise, Lu Changsheng may be easygoing and generous, but others in the family may not be the same. Lu Yuanzhong pondered deeply, with Ling Zixiao's figure coming to mind. Ling Zixiao had left a profound impression on him. He knew that although she seemed delicate, in reality, she was a woman of strong and domineering character. Lu Changsheng might be casual and considerate of the relationship between the 2 families, but she might not be. Moreover, Lu Changsheng was no longer just an individual but represented a family. Changsheng, thank you. Walking through Qingzhou Valley, Lu Miaoge held Lu Changsheng's palm and spoke softly. Although she knew that Lu Changsheng had access to many cultivation techniques, she had never inquired about them. Because she understood how rare and valuable cultivation techniques were. Recklessly sharing them could not only bring trouble but also allow others to target them through their techniques. We are all one family, after all. Lu Changsheng held his wife's hand and said. The reason he gave away these 2 cultivation techniques was that they were donated by kind people. Techniques like the 7 luminaries would definitely not be shared outside of his own family at the current time. Now that Lu Yuanzhong's issue was mostly resolved, Lu Changsheng was ready to take his wife and children back to Bai Lake Mountain. As for Lu Miaoge, since the Red Leaf Valley market required someone to be in charge, she couldn't return with them. Before one knew it, more than a month had passed. During this time, Lu Changsheng's son, Lu Yun, took a concubine under the arrangements of Lu Miaoyun. Chapter 686, Can Weaken the Heavenly Tribulation, Teaching the 100 Refinements Treasure Body Technique. She was one of the 15 girls brought back by Lu Changsheng. The reason for taking concubines was partly because Lu Yun was already 20 years old. On the other hand, it was also an encouragement and reward by Lu Changsheng for family members to marry and take concubines to procreate. As the legitimate heir of the family and the eldest son of the principal wife Lu Miaoyun, Lu Yun naturally had to set an example. However, Lu Miaoyun also wanted to find a good daughter-in-law for her son. At the very least, to marry into another family, so it was just taking concubines. Regarding such matters, as long as it was mutually consensual, Lu Changsheng naturally wouldn't say much, and he supported the decision. That day, Lu Changsheng sensed a slightly stronger mana entering his body. He knew one of his children had broken through to the 4th level of qi refinement. In the afternoon, he received the news that it was his eldest son, Lu Pingan, who had made the breakthrough. Not bad. Lu Changsheng looked at his son and spoke. Calculating the time, it took Lu Pingan a little over 3 years to break through to the 4th level of energy refinement. Although he had an early foundation and the assistance of elixir medicines, this speed was indeed quite impressive. As I said before, once you break through to the 4th level of qi refinement, I would teach you the real body refining techniques. Follow me, Lu Changsheng told Lu Pingan. Yes, father. Upon hearing this, Lu Pingan's face showed joy and expectation as he nodded in agreement. Subsequently, the two came to the family's secret chamber, where Lu Changsheng began to teach Lu Pingan the 100 Refinements Treasure Body Art. Although Lu Pingan now had spiritual awareness and could check the jade slip with his mental spirit, Lu Changsheng had not yet engraved these cultivation techniques onto the technique jade slips. He transmitted it orally, with his mana traveling through Pingan's meridians, explaining bit by bit. He communicated the content, key points, and the profound meanings by breaking them down and conveying them to Lu Pingan. Have you memorized everything? An hour later, Lu Changsheng asked his son Lu Pingan. Father, I have memorized it all. Lu Pingan affirmed seriously. After hearing the technique, he realized the power of this cultivation technique, making the human body as hard as a magical treasure. It was terrifying. Even now, as a martial arts grandmaster at the 4th level of qi refinement, he was only facing ordinary weapons. If he were to encounter a magic artifact, it would be difficult to withstand. Good, practice it now for me to see, said Lu Changsheng, asking his son to start cultivating. Yes. Upon hearing this, Lu Pingan began to try circulating the technique. Thus, time passed bit by bit. Lu Pingan struggled to get into the right state. Lu Changsheng was not in a hurry and waited patiently. No matter the cultivation technique, it's very difficult to enter the right state at the beginning. And since the practice of 100 Refinements Treasure Body Art was quite dangerous, he did not dare to let Pingan just practice on his own. After about 9 hours, Lu Pingan finally entered the right state. Seeing this, Lu Changsheng smiled with satisfaction, thinking to himself that his son indeed had some talent in body refinement. He observed Lu Pingan with his divine sense, paying attention to the circulation route of his technique, and immediately corrected any slight errors. In this way, after 4 days, Lu Pingan had fully mastered the basics of the technique. Afterward, Lu Changxing took out a golden essence stone and gave it to Lu Pingan, instructing him to draw out the essence of the material according to the technique in order to nourish his body. Lu Pingan accepted the golden essence stone, took a deep breath, and tried to extract the essence. Under Lu Changxing's guidance, it took 2 days for Lu Pingan to gradually be able to extract the essence. Although the process was very slow, to Lu Changxing, it was at least a start. You familiarize yourself with these for now, it'll teach you the follow-up after some time, Lu Changxing said. Currently, Lu Pingan had only achieved the most basic level of 100 refinements treasure body art. The real challenges were techniques like infusing treasure into the body, Baogu method, merging the life-bound treasured bone, and so on. Back in Changxing Hall, his own retreat, Lu Changxing activated the 100 refinements treasure body technique, aiming to extract the black dragon magical bead in his palm. After so many years, this magical treasure was near the point of being discarded. Now that his son Lu Pingan had reached the basic level in 100 refinements treasure body art, he intended to let Pingan try to condense the almost discarded black dragon magical bead into his body. Sichich. Lu Changxing activated the technique, and the imprint of the black dragon magical bead emerged in his left hand, clearly visible. His palm shone with a treasure light, bright and dazzling, the skin writhed, and the black dragon magical bead slowly emerged. This process used to be very slow and painful. But now, at the 6th level of 100 refinements, he could extract the bead in just an hour. Phew! Lu Changxing exhaled deeply and looked at the black dragon magical bead in his hand. Now the magical treasure was not only dim but the miniature flood dragon inside had dissipated, leaving only a wisp of grey mist. What once was a middle-grade magical treasure, now looked nothing like it. It was almost unrecognizable. Being able to sustain until it's passed down will also become a legacy, Lu Changxing said with a light chuckle as he gazed at the black dragon magical bead. Looking at the nearly discarded magical treasure embryo in his right hand, Lu Changxing thought for a moment and then turned his gaze to the system space. Extract. With a flicker of mental intention, he took out the 100 steeds towering pagoda lock from the system space. Immediately, a black chain as thick as an arm emerged, strung with faintly visible fiery horses. There were 100 of these steeds, each radiating a dense aura of een and resentment, causing a chilly breeze in the retreat, permeating it with a cold, eerie atmosphere. As expected of a demonic path magical treasure, it appears quite sinister, Lu Changxing remarked. Integrating such a treasure into my body won't cause me any negative effects, will it? He pondered as he looked at the 100 steeds towering pagoda lock and stroked his beard. Now that the 9 treasured jade rui had been cultivated into his life-bound treasured bone, and the black dragon magical bead was extracted, with the magical treasure embryo almost discarded, he naturally needed to continue the practice of integrating a magical treasure into his body to aid in cultivation. While it would have been more cost-effective to let Lu Pingan integrate the magical treasure into his body, Lu Pingan was still far from mastering the 100 refinements treasure body art. Quickly, Lu Changxing began to consecrate the 100 steeds towering pagoda lock in front of him with his mental spirit and mana, testing the effects of integrating the magical treasure into his son's body. You're tuning into the Romantic Tales YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.